Then people say the devil is this guy who's running around with this pitchfork. No, you can see him.
Them clear moves got my welder. I own a single fella. My daddy's to your hood. A kingdom episode. That splash is so peculiar. Won't let that serpent fool you. You're who I am, I'm cold. And did to me places I thought I would never go. Did to me places I thought I would never go. Did to me places I thought I would never. This song is a dedication to your hood, mighty water, till the heavy water rain on it. Haven't tried nothing sprouted up.
What's good, family? What's good? I apologize for not having an intro today. My NAS decided to act a little retarded on me today. It was acting goofy for a couple of days, so I gotta fix that. It was a lot of little things going crazy when I was trying to set this up. It was kind of annoying me. I'm like, man, that's just really silly. This is unprecedented. I ain't had a problem. Well, I'm about to let this vibe for a little bit and greet everybody as they come on in. What's good, everybody? How y'all doing? Y'all can hear the music and everything. Just give me a one if you can hear it. Let me know everything's playing good, because StreamYard be a little funky. What's good, Coach Nishima, Trayola, Pensilola? What's good, Rose? How you doing, brother? Kaya, Laya, what's good? Shelly V, Avia, Calvin Andrews, what's up? How you doing, bro? Pensacola, Pensilola. I'm sorry, I want to call you Pensacola. Let me pause that real quick. I want to call you Pensacola. Every time I see your name, Pensilola, I be like Pensacola, because I'm from Florida, so I see Pensacola. My brain just auto-corrects that. What's good, DK? What's good? All right, I'm here. Cool. Just gonna vibe out, greet the fam for a little bit while everybody coming in. What's good, Brandon Carter? Neil Shay? What's good, y'all? Yeah, I know, Percy, man. I be like Pensacola. Every time I see it, I be thinking Pensacola. I was like, yo, this brother name Pensacola? What's good, Don P? How you doing, brother? Oh yeah, how you doing? My brother Arrow. Yeah, man. I was having weird issues too, bro. I was having some strange issues going on. Oh yeah? That's your whole child? Okay. Yeah, man, it was really weird, bro. I was like having the strangest issues. Let me pause this. Having the strangest just issues, man. Like all kinds of little just like weird issues going on. I'm like, all right, I'm just, just was rolling with it. I don't like functioning like that, you know what I'm saying? So in my back of my head is like, nah, don't do it until you can get it right. But then I'm like, nah, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna put it off because of nonsense. That's kind of what the enemy wants, you know what I'm saying? That's kind of how the enemy want to function. Let me put myself down here real quick. Yeah, that's kind of how, like, the enemy be trying to function on stuff, you know what I mean? If you want to have us just quit instead of just going in and doing what we got to do, you know what I mean? What's good, Unorthodox Garden? How you doing? What's good? Yeah, man, I'm gonna go ahead and kick it in. That's just greeting the fam and everything, man. So how y'all doing, man? This ain't gonna be a thoughts brewing, because I'm gonna bring the fam up and we gonna, just have a little chit chat today. But I want to show y'all some stuff first to kind of get the conversations going and kind of, put some things up and everything. I know, the big thing is all this war, this war. Or if I'm in Russia, it's a special operation. But if I'm in America, it's genocide and literally Hitler. Like, man, I gotta say, we are in one of the most frustrating times to be alive. I'll put it that way. Like, it's ridiculous the amount of like just nonsense that's out there. Like I've been seeing cats saying stuff like, "Oh, they got like Trump, like not Trump, because they treat Putin like Trump. It's the same little thing that they do. Like it's just the media just got these people. They think like children, bro. I'm sorry. Like this is why I be stressing for us not to be caught up in this nonsense and not to get us bruised. Because there's still some of us that ain't woke up. They still be in this foolishness and nonsense. They was the big thing was everybody was talking about this judge that just came up and hold on. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna bring that up. I'm gonna show y'all. This is I always do this, man. I always end up just going off the regularly scheduled program. I want you to see this, man. This is, let me see if I can find it right. Here we go. Is that it? Nah, I think this is it. Let me see if this is it.
To you on something you said when you were in private practice. You made your view court recently.
No, that's not it. There's one comment that she made that was so like ridiculous.
Judge, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Senator. Comment on them.
Case.
Dagnabbit, where is it? She basically said that they asked her to define what a woman was.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah.
I can't.
Now, I've been seeing, I've been staying away from Facebook. But then I get on and I see people on there and everybody's like defending her and going in on her. Like, why? Especially women. Why? Why are y'all defending this person? She don't even know who she is. She don't even want to define what a woman is. And y'all defending her. Like, why? Why? Why are you defending this person that's clearly on their regimen, clearly on it? Like, we got to stop just running with people because they got melanated skin. We fall for this okie doke all the time. We fell for it with Martin Luther King. We fell for it with W.E. Du Bois. We fell for it with Garfield. We fell for it with all the major, what's his name? With the Rainbow Coalition. Jesse, Al Sharpton, all them cats, man. All these cats is on the same nonsense. They on these people payroll, man. They control opposition. They come in and they do nothing. They talk a big game and all they do is exploit people. And this woman is on the same crap. This is the same thing. Like, we got to stop just backing people because they melanated. You know what I'm saying? Oh, she's a black woman. Oh, they looking out. They coming at her because she a black woman. No. Let's look at what she's saying. It was the same thing with like Black Lives Matter. Like, everybody was like, and I was one of them. I got into it with a former friend of mine about Black Lives Matter about it. And I was like, oh no, it stands up, it's for good, and it's for that, and it's for this. But then after that, I started to think about it. I'm like, you know what? Let me look them up and let me find, let me look into these things and let me look into some stuff. And when I looked into them, I saw it was like, oh, we don't want to deal with the nuclear family. And I'm like, we need the nuclear family. That's our problem now. Like, what is you talking about? Like, these people is just straight up on foolishness. Like, I'm gonna play it again. She literally said she can't define what a woman is.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah.
I can't.
Like, she seriously just basically, just did that on like, she's just like, oh, this is, I don't know what a woman is, so I'm just gonna just say, like, why do we support people like this? What's good, brother? How you doing, Eros? Like, I can't hear you. Oh wait, did I have you muted? Hold on, let me unmute you. Oh no, you gotta unmute yourself, bro. That's all good.
Shalom. Can y'all hear me?
There you go. Yes, sir. I hear you good.
All right. Good to see everyone.
Sir. Yeah, man. It's they got this lady up here and she's like just going in on all this stuff and everybody's been defending her and I'm like, why? why are they defending her on all this stuff like that? Hold on before I bring you in, bro. I'll just hang tight real quick because I'm gonna cover something about Ukraine and stuff real quick, and then I'm gonna start throwing it, bouncing it back. So I'm just gonna put you back here real quick. And so yeah, we gotta start being careful with who we actually no, I'm gonna bring you back in. I ain't gonna be like that. I feel bad having you like that.
Why you
I have to put the man, you know what I'm saying? I have to put the man in the back of the bus. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, like we gotta start like being careful about who we defend and look into it. Like I popped in on Facebook and I seen all these people like defending her, and I'm like, why? And of course she got a zaddy, You know, she's married to a Gentile dude. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, come on, people. We just because they got black skin don't mean they your friend. We need to make that. That's our new saying. Just because they got black skin, just because they got melanated skin, don't mean they your friend.
Correct, sir. Not
We
all skin
gotta.
folk is kinfolk. So
Hey, bro, come on, man. Like, for real. Like, this lady sit here and says she can't define what a woman is. Like, what? What?
X chromosome, and another X chromosome.
You know, and it's this nonsense with this, you know, because people go, she's a Democrat, so all the black folks like, oh, we gotta support her. Look, man, Obama trash. His wife and them was trash. All of them trash because they all on the same program. Obama trash, just like Clinton was trash, just like George Bush Sr. was trash, just like George Bush Jr. was trash. They all on the same team. Like, we can't be sitting here like, oh, they're just talking about Obama. This is like, dude, they all the same. They all the same. They just be playing these little games to make us think that they on some other level different than us. But all these people playing for the same team. They playing for the same goals. She a whole woman with ovaries and can't define what a woman is. Come on, bro. Come on, man. This junk is ridiculous. But anyway, getting back into the whole Ukraine nonsense and stuff. Like, it's been a lot of nonsense. And I'm not gonna like go into all different ads and stuff because honestly, man, it's so hard to dissect what's real. But what I can do is give y'all some alternate news to look at, because even on the other side, it's like different. And this is Telegram. And I basically just joined Telegram because of all the nonsense going on, and you can't really get on any. So I'm not gonna go through all these because I'm quite sure they'll be like, oh, he's showing Telegram and he's going blah 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 blah. So there was this one channel here called ASB Military News. If you join Telegram, you get in there. And then the only thing I like about Telegram is hard to find stuff, but I knew about these guys because they were on Twitter. I remember I showed you guys these guys before, the ASB Military News. Twitter kicked them off. They were literally just showing what was happening. They was like, this is what's going on. That's all it was. They have people that are in Europe, and they have people that are in Ukraine, and that are from those areas. And they actually had to stop covering the war because their coverage of it was basically going to have people in those countries getting in trouble because they were telling the truth, which is insane that they had to do that. So they recommend some other channels and stuff. So if you join Telegram, get on ASB Military News. They still picking up some stuff now. They still have a few articles, and they're kind of weeding their way back into it and covering it a little differently, but they're not covering it as like the military side. But they have other links to other sites that they've verified and stuff. Some of them are in Russian. So, as you see right here, so you won't be able to understand the language, but you can kind of see what's going on. You can get a good idea of what's going on. There's one that's in English that's actually really, really good that they have down here. And again, it's on Telegram. Just go to ASB Military News and then follow these little channels that they have here and follow them. And that gives you pretty much like the other side of the war. Because all you're hearing on CNN is fairy tales, honestly. Like, the stuff that they're saying is so asinine. It's absolutely ridiculous. They're making Putin sound like a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah,
like it's a mess, man. They make Putin sound like he's just some little idiot that just went over there and doesn't know what he's doing. They got this stupid saying talking about, oh, put sunflowers in your pockets and you're gonna make sunflowers when you die in our land, telling that to the Russian soldiers. But a lot of it is like ridiculousness. Like, there was one thing they showed, and it was like the Russian tank was shooting at a apartment building that looked abandoned. And they were like, oh, Russia's shooting at civilian structures indiscriminately. And I'm like, I've played video games before, and I played Battlefield. And I know that when I get up in a high window and shoot at people, that gives me an advantage. So they literally shot at two specific windows in this video. And I'm like, they probably were clearing snipers out. I don't think that building was being used for civilian use. Like, if you still that close to the war, I don't think you'd still be chilling in your house like that. You kind of go somewhere that's a little more safe, further away from the fighting. And they were shooting at two specific windows in that building, and it's like, bro, they're clearing out a sniper. But everything is just so warped. They're telling people all kinds of crazy stuff. So I recommend, if you can read, watch CNN to see one side, and then you can go to Telegram and you get the other side, and then glean the conclusion in between the two to kind of see what's going on and paying attention to what NATO is doing, because that's going to be key to what's going on, because NATO is just basically trying to force their way to, they're kind of like putting their infrastructure in the way to get hit by a bomb. They kind of like putting their hand out there like, come on. Oh, you hit me. Oh, yeah, we finna go. It's getting ridiculous, the nonsense that is going on and these cats are doing.
Oh, we've seen this before. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
No, okay, yeah, we've seen these things before. I distinctly remember during the time of the first Iraq War back in '91 that they were showing, it called it the video game war, because it only lasted for like, I think it was 2 months or months, because it's when we started showing this advanced weaponry being used and so forth, and it was just like you saw the Iraqi soldiers coming in and surrendering. And again, the news stories that were coming out then would say, oh, this was happening over here. About a year or so later, Norman Schwarzkopf said, oh, yeah, actually, yeah, we did use the media to, basically to their advantage to not necessarily sell what was going on, but to put some like disinformation out, because they know that the enemy was monitoring all these things. So it's like, why would we think that the tactics have changed even after 30 years?
Thank you. I mean, this is the same stuff they were doing back in World War II. I remember seeing some of the Nazi propaganda and then some of the Allies propaganda from the war, because back in the day they used to have to go to the theaters and watch it, and you would just hear them saying, "Oh, I don't know why all white people talk
buy war bonds."
Yeah, buy war bonds, and we got the Krauts running now, and old Adolf is hiding in his shelter. Boys and the Allies are coming in and taking and saving the day. They're saying all this, crazy stuff. Meanwhile, you got D-Day with jokers just dying left and right. Like it's a very big game that's being played right now. So honestly, the Western media, I would say, is the least reliable, because the stuff that they're saying is almost cartoonish. It's just ridiculous. They're like, oh, the Russian convoy stalled. You notice they're not talking about that no more, because the Russian convoy did what it was supposed to do. They set up forward positions to basically set up supply lines and repair lines and all that stuff, because they were going to go after Kiev, because Kiev is where they put most of their defense, because that's their home base. You don't have an army that's huge enough, you protect the most important stuff: military infrastructure, vital civilian infrastructure, and your home base, which is Kiev. So it's not a surprise that at Kiev they're facing all kinds of nonsense. But I just wanted to show y'all the Telegram thing to go get into that, because I really don't want to go into that, because like I said, it's like Dessect. It's a cesspool. Honestly, it's good to have the information and it's good to know, but I take everything, even the stuff I see on the Telegram, with a grain of salt. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just so much lies and stuff. But I just try to glean what's going on. And out of everything, I found this, and I wanted to play this for you guys, because I was in the middle of doing some emergency planning, and I've been trying to look for generators and stuff to get. And then I started really thinking about it, because I started, I listened to a lot of preppers, and they started talking about EMPs, and I was like, oh crap, I didn't think about that. And I'm like, what's the point in having a generator if they're going to shoot off EMPs? And for those who don't know, I'm going to play this by Weon real quick. They had this coming up, of course, last year. Everybody was talking about it. It's so interesting. Like, it was like a big subject a couple months ago. Everybody was talking about EMPs, even in the American, one of the senators or one of the guys in the armed forces. Everybody was talking about it. It was really interesting.
A panel of experts at the Universal Peace Federation has now issued a warning on the growing threat of EMP, or electromagnetic pulse weapons. Such an attack can knock out virtually all communications and other critical services of countries in a matter of minutes. For long, experts have warned that key electrical infrastructure in the United States remains particularly vulnerable to an electromagnetic pulse attack, or EMP, likely to be orchestrated by China, North Korea, or even Russia. The Universal Peace Federation specialists have now said that the US is at a pivotal moment if it wants to avoid a potential doomsday scenario. But to analyze the risk, we must first understand what an EMP is and how it can be weaponized. An EMP weapon is one that directs a massive explosion of energy over an intended target, much like lightning. But in contrast to other conventional weapons, an EMP explosion does not physically harm humans. What it does, though, is cripple all electronic devices and infrastructure within its radius.
So with an EMP, basically, nuclear bombs can generate EMPs.
Right.
So they even have special devices that are special EMP bombs that are designed to make EMPs. So if they blow a nuclear bomb up in the atmosphere, it'll cause an EMP big enough to take out just about all of America. And it won't matter even if your electronic stuff is off, because that EMP wave, see, electromagnetism and magnetism and electricity are like peas in a pod. They go hand in hand. And when you have magnetism, you have electricity. So that strong electromagnetic wave is going to be pushing electricity into all the electronic devices, even if they're off. So you'll have capacitors inside. Your capacitors are like little tiny devices that are attached to your motherboard that store electrical energy for different purposes on the motherboard. And if that capacitor gets overcharged, it's going to blow. So when that EMP wave hits, although your stuff may be off, that electromagnetic wave carries energy with it. So it's going to infer that energy into your board, and of course, it's going to be higher than the rating that the system has, and it's going to blow. It'll be like plugging your electrical device into an outlet with too much power. You're going to blow it up because it's not rated to handle that kind of energy. So that's what an EMP is going to do, and it's going to knock out everything electronic. So if you got generators, exactly. If you got generators, that's not going to matter. You know what I'm saying? Your cell phone, not going to matter. I see people talking about these Faraday bags. There's things here. If you want to get some, if you have like electronic equipment, if you want to get a Faraday bag, will be a good thing to store it in, because the Faraday blocks electromagnetic frequencies. So you can put some of your stuff in there. Now, I'm gonna look at the $500 one. You got some cheaper ones down there.
You don't need that one.
No, you don't need that one. You know what I'm saying? You just need something that blocks. That's why they used to say, they used to call conspiracy theorists tinfoil hat people, because they understood that, electromagnetic frequencies can be blocked with certain types of foil and whatnot. So they would put stuff up to block electromagnetic signals and stuff. And people were like, "Oh, you're crazy." But this day and age, I'm like, actually, they were smart, because everything is electromagnetic, right, brother?
That's correct. Everything, like I say, everything that we have now is running off of a chip of some type. Like you said, when it comes to EMPs, it will basically fry the circuits, which again, the resistors, transistors on the chip, it will fry them. That's why your computer would just go blink instantly. It wouldn't just blew out. It would just shut off if something like that occurred. Right. And if you do want to protect your devices, you would need basically the equivalent of a Faraday cage, which is basically these bags that he's showing here.
Yeah, these bags, don't get one to put your cell phone in, because think about it. If you've got your cell phone, hooray. But now all the infrastructure that cell phone has is gone. All the people you want to call, their phones are gone.
Right. So you will not get a call.
Yeah, exactly. Like, who you gonna call? Like, you can't call 911. This is the thing. Like, we got to get our mind away from government response. I've been trying to get everybody that I talk to forget about the government coming to save you. Imagine you got to save yourself. You got to do it for yourself. Don't look at what happened in Texas when they had the hurricane. Mm-hmm. They didn't even have water, and the government even played games with it, talking about everybody was hating on the government. Now look, everybody here for the government. Yay for the government. Like, no, have your own water, have your own stuff, and get ready, because if they do this EMP thing, because at first I was thinking they were going to do like an attack on the grid, like a hack, because there's been tons of hacks going on. Man, they're not talking about it. You've been hearing some too, bro?
Oh yeah. That's, like I said, they've been talking. That's been a lot of chatter with that. We're talking about cyber attacks on infrastructure. Mm-hmm. That's been, they're not yelling about it, but when you, like I said, when you read certain articles with certain groups and stuff like that, you see it say, a lot of admins are even talking about, even our security people have mentioned talking about these things. So it's like, when it's coming down to the local level and they're talking about it, believe them. Yeah, this stuff is happening.
Oh, absolutely. Like I follow quite a few, security stuff, because, that's kind of part of what I do. Yep. So I'm sitting here and it's like every day there's a new 0-day attack, but they're not telling me. Every day I think Google just got hit with a 0-day. I forget what it was on, but Google just got hit with a 0-day. And there was a couple I had on here. I'm gonna play their video. They had some interesting stuff. I always do this, so I actually go over this. Yeah, I was looking at the Mandelbrot set. We're gonna talk about that in a little bit.
I am not crazy. Well.
What the heck? Did I not get it? thought I got it. Hold on. They're called Homestead Heart, and they were talking about their what is going on here? That is goofy. Okay, I will do this then. I can't do that. That's fine. I'll pull you over here like that. Bam. And I'll pull them up here real quick. They had I don't know if I have it at the right spot.
But still have to use that sparingly.
Yeah, and I would recommend a Blue Eddie if you've seen our video.
They have some good. This is I recommend following them. They're called Homestead Heart, and this is a good question to ask. You only have 6 months before the collapse of the dollar. What would you do? And this is a video where they have talking about it. I thought I had it saved at the one spot, but that's okay. But this, I definitely recommend following them. They have some good information. They talk about planning and gardening and all that kind of stuff and growing. That's what pretty much their main thing is, talking about growing and whatnot. But they were talking about how they were having issues with their internet. That's what caught me. They said their phones were slow and their computer at home were slow. So yeah. You see, I know you picked up on that, huh? I'm like, yeah.
All of a sudden.
Yeah, all of a sudden, everything was slow. Like that's not normal. That's not a normal thing. Like that's not how things happen in the internet world. If you're, it's not uncommon to have slow, web Wi-Fi on your phone and whatnot. That's not an uncommon thing. But to have it go with your home internet and your cell phones are just off. Like they had total internet silence, no internet whatsoever. Yeah, that's odd. That's odd. And they're in a more rural area too. So that right there was a took the bell with me, because I'm like, I didn't hear nothing about that, and that's not normal for just the internet to go off like that. And they were off for 2 hours. They said they were down for 2 hours. So I'm like, there's definitely some nonsense going on afoot. But I don't think it's going to be a hack that's going to take down our power grid. It's looking more and more like they're going to throw. I mean, it makes sense, man. They hit us with an EMP.
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap. You know what I mean?
And people don't think that, because again, people assume and say, everything's gonna last. It's gonna last forever. These things will never happen to us, but this stuff does happen to us. I remember do you remember when New York had their blackout back? I think it was 2003.
Yeah. 2000. Yeah, remember? Yeah, it was 2003, where all of New York and the upper northern half and some southern parts of Canada were all out.
Right. I'm like,
out for like a day or two, weren't they?
I think so. Yeah, I think it was about. Yeah, I want to say it was almost a day.
Yeah, it was like a day.
Look what it did. Look what it did. Economically. Look what everything that happened after that. It was like, this can happen. So we have to get out of that mindset of being, this will never happen here. This is far future. We're good. We're solid. And it's like, it could happen any second, and we're just like, what now? Correct.
I mean, you already got Sleepy Joe talking about there's going to be food shortages. Now, when they got, the doggone government telling you that, it's already here. It's already here. If they're telling you on CNN, if they're telling you on MSNBC, it's already here. It's already there. There's probably some parts of the country that are already hitting the shortages, but most people in the big cities don't see it, because they always want to make sure the big cities have enough first. But all the people I've been seeing and following that stay in the more rural areas of the country, bro, they got shortages going on. I mean, you showed me shortages, and you're in Chicago.
It's like, wow. I mean, you talking about going to a place, you just seeing a full shelf and then seeing nothing but a blank space. Like, this ain't cool. And the prices have gone up considerably. So I just came back from the store looking at the prices thing. It was like, remember the little things of hand soap, before it was 98 cents. Some are now $2.
What?
A bottle of alcohol, 91%, used to be like $2. It's now $3.46. And this is alcohol, things that we kind of need right now. What was going on? Yeah, the prices are rising. We you're actually seeing it. So just be aware of that when you go to the store.
Man, it's true. It's we've been saying it for months, but man, y'all, it doesn't, I understand that everybody has the ability to just have a whole pantry full of stuff, but just buy extra stuff that won't perish over a long time.
Right.
If you got the freezer space, if you got like one of those big, freezer chests, store your freezer up with as much as you can. You know what I'm saying? Like, just have as much water. I've been, what I'll do is I order water. I get water from, the little delivery place where they like deliver the water for your, for the water machines and stuff like that. You know, the big 5-gallon bottles. I get those. And I got like a bunch of them, you know, just get some extra. I found that was actually pretty simple because you can just take them in and, you know, you can get like $7 or something when you swap in an empty bottle. So I just got a bunch of empty bottles and, you know, you just take them in and you just swap some out every now and then and just keep like storing up your water and getting that in because it's getting to the point, man, where we got to like get our mind away from this government system and thinking that they're going to be there to help us and they got our back. This system is not for us. We can go argue at, you know, at all the courts. We can go and, you know, yell at the government all we want, but guess what? They ain't gonna do nothing. We've seen time and time again that this government don't care about us. This government does not care. Like they just will do whatever they want. How many? What, one Asian person got beat up and they put a law in? How many black folks been getting murdered and we still? They just made lynching illegal. What, last year?
And it's like, so I thought murder was already illegal. That's just that's what I recall. But yeah, and also if you want to, nothing you might want to invest in is a Berkey water filter. We decided to invest in one late last year so that you do have a water source. You have the filters on top and you can pour that and it filters that for you. So if you can't get the bottled water, but you still have a water source, you can use that to, you know, filter water in case they start. Because I've been to the store when there was no bottled water. It was all gone.
Exactly. You know, down here they were using bleach for the water, so that's why I went ahead and got the bottled water because they started when they had oxygen shortages. Was it 2021? They started having oxygen shortages, so they started replacing because they used to purify the water with oxygen down here. Now they're using bleach. So, you know, that's fine in small doses, but you got to understand this is the water you're eating, drinking in, food, you know, all that. Like, come on, man, that's a bit shaky. You know what I'm saying? That's extremely shaky that every day in and day out, you're drinking this bleach water when it's really meant to be like a temporary thing for emergencies. So,
right.
Yeah. You got to find out too about that in your local area, how they're doing with their water and stuff. You know, Florida's notorious for water, so I always pay attention to the water.
Yeah, I know it's the same thing here. So I definitely understand.
Yeah, pay attention to that in your local area, like about the water and stuff like that, and even know like evacuation routes if you got to get out. Because I know, you know, we got I'm near bases down here. I know Karis know what I'm talking about, and I'm like, he even said it actually a couple of times, like, you know, there's somebody dropped bombs on McDill. I'm like, oh man.
Time to go see the king.
I'm like, oh man, you know what I'm saying? I be sometimes waking up expecting to see some red dawn like nonsense hanging over McDill when Joker's just dropping in, you know, taking over the base and stuff. Because when the Iraq War was going on, that was one of their main bases. So, you know, learn where the bases are if you're near bases and stuff too. Because wherever the base is, you want to go the opposite direction.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to be the opposite direction. Because let the war in Russia kind of like be Ukraine be an example, because Russia's going after their military targets and stuff first. They prioritize military targets. So if you're near any type of base or whatever, be aware of that kind of stuff. Be aware. Right. You know, I know some people may say, "Oh, you guys are being hyperbolic. You guys are being tripping." Like, for the people like that, I'm just leave your little thumbs down and go on about your business, because you tripping right now. If you still sit here thinking that this is hyperbolic, given all that's going on, like, you got the what was it? The plane for it's one of the planes that they use for nuclear preparedness. They moved it. It's been moved. I think it's over in Europe right now. They got that plane on the move. Putin put his nuclear preparedness guys on alert. They've been moving around, putting people in bunkers and stuff like that. I've been, again, listening to a lot of different the preppers. There's one dude, Canadian prepper. I like to watch him because he gets emails from people from that sector that'll give him information. They'll tell him stuff like, one guy was working with the military industrial complex, and he was like, bro, all the moves that we're seeing right now indicate that troops are about to move and get set up. Like, he recognizes it because he's in the military. He's seeing all the movements and stuff. He remained anonymous, but he just told him, he said, dude, be ready, because NATO is getting ready to make some moves. Like, they're putting pieces into play. All this stuff is going on. So we can't just sit here and just act like, oh, it's just another thing. That's over there. It's whatever. Like, we got to be ready when stuff starts hitting the fan over here, because I have a strong feeling that by this fall, it's going to get ugly. Like, it's going to be a lot of, I don't see how they're going to have the supply chain and everything be running that well still. It's bad right now, because now there's also a strike in Canada. Let me show you that. There's a strike in Canada too. Canadian rail strike. Hold on a second here. Y'all know how I do. I like to show you that stuff. Here we go. They this was on the 15th. That's actually let me get one.
And that's Reuters too, and Reuters is they're pretty trustworthy.
Oh yeah. They see here. They got here we go. That's Canadian Mail. I'm gonna find another site. Oh, there it is. There's another Reuters. Canada calls for quick end to CP rail strike amid fears of worsening commodity shortages. So what gets carried on trains?
Everything you see in the stores.
Trucks only can carry so much stuff too. Trucks can't carry big items. So a lot of building materials for houses get carried on trains. Buildings materials, period, get carried on trains. Cars get carried on trains. Like a lot of big things get carried out on trains.
Right.
And now in Canada, their trains aren't moving. They're just standstill. And that's one of our major trade partners. You know what I'm saying? That's where a lot of stuff that, we get a lot of stuff that comes out of Canada. Because, people forget America makes nothing. But, LGBTQ, RIA rules and all that kind of stuff. Like that's the new export of America, social politics, SJWs. That's the new export of America. Like America doesn't export any more products anymore. So they said the strike began on Sunday, and industry groups are calling on the Canadian government to propose back-to-work legislation to swiftly end the dispute. So it really doesn't matter, even at this time, if they ended it. Like just that interruption right there was a huge issue. And there's another evergreen thing that was stuck too. Hold on, just as another note, evergreen ship stuck in Boston. There's another one too. So we got another cargo ship now sitting there after that one that happened in the Suez. The same company got another one. This one's stuck in Boston over near Washington, D.C. It's over there by Baltimore. This is where it is right here. It's stuck over there in that little area there. Now, mind you, this one here is interesting to me too, though, because it's not blocking anything, but that's more commodities that's stuck. But look at how close it is to Washington, D.C.
Right.
What's on that? And that's a Taiwanese company too. So that's China. That's over there near China. Yeah.
Enough said.
You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I'm not saying what it is, what it ain't. I'm just saying that's a very interesting place to stop.
What could possibly happen? What could be a possible?
Yeah, right. What could possibly go wrong? Like, what is that? It's not like if we had like a missile system on there to launch a missile that would be right there, or if we had, an onboard, EMP bomb, or there's all kinds of stuff you can do. I mean, they're right there by Washington, D.C. That to me would be very, very, that's concerning to me. That's just happened to stop right there. Like, that's a real convenient place for the ship to get stuck.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. They must need to hire new pilots or something because their ships get stuck everywhere.
All right. It's just good just to be, just to be aware of these things. Again, for me, when I see these things, I always have to remember it's like, did not Yah prophesy tell these things were going to happen?
There you go.
We didn't know exactly how it was going to happen, what the methodology would be, but he said these things were happy. So it's like, that's all I'm doing is looking up. Say, because our redemption, I pray, is near. With all this stuff that's going on right now, and say again, that's where we have to keep looking at. Be aware of these things, but don't be so terrified that we forget our Father who takes care of us.
Correct. And that's exactly it. This is just to bring awareness.
Exactly.
This isn't scare anybody. This isn't, we shouldn't be scared. Honestly, this excites me. I'm like, oh, prophecy. Ooh, look at all this prophecy. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It excites me. I'm like, 'cause I know that, man, our time here is coming to a close very soon. Because if you don't believe in the 400 years, I'm gonna have to do the Will Smith meme. Like, look at all this that's going on. Like, there's a lot going on that all happened after 2019. And it's a lot of crazy. I mean, it's pure. Every time you look in the news, it's something crazy. I've never seen it like this. It's craziness all the time. They had that tornado in what you call it, Louisiana, over there by where Katrina, where it was. They had they had a huge tornado over there. And then even down here in Florida, we saw, me and my wife, we saw the weirdest thing. You know, but it's lightning capital. You know what I'm saying? Florida's lightning capital. I've seen lightning storms before. I've seen it before. I've never seen a lightning storm that looked like something out of a movie. Like in the distance, in the clouds, you literally, I mean, it was like rapid, constant lightning, constant. It's not usually lightning. You'll see it, and then, you know, it'll go away, and then you'll hear the boom and stuff like that. And you'll see like quick flashes. You'll hear the boom and everything.
Right.
This lightning was so far away, you couldn't even hear the booms. You heard no booms, but we saw all the lightning, and it was like active. It was ridiculously active, just shooting off back to back, up in the clouds. I mean, it almost looked like somebody was up there, like, you know, kind of like how they show, like, you know, in movies or something, when somebody's up there like fighting, and you see like the energy going off and stuff. That's what it looked like, because the clouds were literally just lighting up left and right, and lightning just going and going and going and going. It was crazy seeing. Like the nature has gotten wild. Like over in Australia, they got floods like nobody's business. They still flooding in Australia. They still got floods going on.
Really? Okay.
Oh,
I thought that was done. I knew then they had the spiders, the snakes, the rats, and all this other. I'm like, what in the name of Wild Kingdom is going on over there?
This was back in March 10th. This is like 2 weeks ago, and this was them right there. Look at the map. That was before. That's after.
Wow.
The water was high. People were sitting on top of their roofs. It looked like Katrina. What happened with Katrina? It literally looked just like Katrina.
That's exactly what it looked like.
Yeah. That's exactly what it looked like. It was like exactly like Katrina. Look, you got the people. Look, that's a sign right there. Yeah. They're riding out there on the boats, having to pick all these people up. Like it's bad. Like that's that's showing the flooding right there. That's all that's flooding in that whole area. All the houses and stuff all around there. Like it got bad down there. It was bad. Here's another image of it. Like they're still flooding over there in Australia. They're still having rain. I think even in the UK and stuff too, they're having flooding issues and stuff. So it's even over here. We're getting some weird weather patterns, and the weather is getting odd. I know in California they're having a drought because the winters are shorter now. So they usually use cut off water runoff from the mountains to flower the valleys, and they don't have that water no more. So that's another thing that's going on. So, you know, this is stuff to be aware of what's going on in the world. We're seeing revelations go down. That's exactly what it looked like, Garth. That's exactly what it looked like. Like straight up, I was like, oh man, we only got 5 minutes before America's over. And those who watch Dragon Ball Z know what that means.
Dragon Ball Z.
So 5 minutes, 6 months, you know, we good there. Everybody watch Dragon Ball. The joke on that is because they say, oh, Namek will be destroyed in 5 minutes, and then it was like 30 episodes later till finally they concluded their fight. That's the longest 5 minutes in the history of ever.
Well, I stopped watching One with Seed. It's like, I can't do this.
That's exactly what it looked like, man. I was like, yo, Goku up there fighting Frieza, y'all. Like, it was looking crazy, man. So, yeah, that's what's going on in the world with all that kind of stuff, man. Like I said, just be prepared. This ain't just to be scared. I wasn't going to go in on all of that. Just, you know, kind of wanted to touch on that a little bit in the beginning because there's something else that was interesting that I wanted to share. You can see my little background now. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, your voice.
That's good, man.
So, you know, getting into the word, you know what I'm saying? We're going to get into the word and talk about some of the lovely mysteries of Yah, because some of this stuff is about to start coming into play. Because what we're looking at, you know, what we got to realize with all this stuff that's happening with Russia is they're getting ready to reset everything. I mean, you can definitely have a reset when you hit something with an EMP. All your stuff is gone. Everything's down. Then when they do bring the stuff up, they're going to be like, oh, we can't bring your bank accounts up because all that infrastructure is gone. So why don't we just go to this new infrastructure that, Joe Biden just so happened to make a executive order for? Because, you know, America's getting ready to get into the Bitcoin the crypto market.
Right.
Because every country now is making their own version of crypto, because basically they're kind of going to have a reverse blockchain, because the blockchain is meant to give you privacy. Their blockchain is going to be so they can track everything, every transaction. Because right now, if I give Aerospike $1, government don't know about that. You know what I'm saying? If I give him some money or whatever, they don't know about that. If I hand him physical fiat currency, they don't know. But if they get rid of that fiat currency, they know every single thing that you do. And we know this is straight up revelations, whereas you cannot buy or sell. And we see that happening even now with the current system, because I had mentioned it before with what happened with Pornhub, that basically Visa, MasterCard, all the credit card companies said, nah, we're not going to deal with you no more. And they got cut off. They couldn't buy or sell because they couldn't use any of the currencies that we use to do that. See, we're seeing this happen with companies and countries, even countries now, because they did it to Russia. They literally cut Russia off from money. Russia can't buy or sell within the economy of the world. But it doesn't matter now, because Russia's creating a secondary economy with China.
Yeah, exactly. It's an eternal system they're starting to set up now.
Yeah, exactly. They're getting ready to set this system up. And what we got to understand is we're going to end up seeing who's behind this system coming up soon. So this system is not going to be run by humans the way this system is now. It's going to be a different system. Y'all said it's going to be as it was in the days of Noah. So we got to start understanding what's going on in Noah's time to understand what's going to be coming back and happening during our time. And we're going to start seeing a lot of like those little crazy little stuff going on. But this one, I brought that up to bring up, this little tidbit that I discovered that I thought was very, very, very interesting concerning everybody's favorite place over there in Switzerland called CERN. And everything, honestly, it's like crazy how all this it's like it seems like separate things, but it all like relates together, man. It's crazy how Yah just has stuff and he'll reveal the works of the enemy and he'll reveal their plans. Like Yah is crazy. His wisdom is unmatched. So I'm going to read this from the book of Enoch. Now, I kind of a little upset because, I did like the Et Sefer, but the Et Sefer doesn't have, they have a abridged version of Enoch that I don't like. I don't like that they did that, because I read through Enoch and I remember my boy, shout out to Avery over there at Salt of the Earth. I was over there on his channel. We were talking about trees and stuff before. We were talking about, the old world and the old kingdom. And we had a conversation about trees and whatnot. And he brought this verse up, and it was crazy because I went through my Sefer looking for it and I couldn't find it. And I'm like, it's only in the Lawrence version. They changed this in the Sefer version. In the Sefer version, when they put this verse in a different way, and they changed it. I'm gonna read the verse here. Let me see if I can. I'm gonna make it bigger so y'all can kind of follow along. Go down here to 67 again, because this thing. Let me pull this up. So like this. So now Enoch has different books. Now I'm pretty much this right here. After going through this pretty much lets me put my stamp of approval on Enoch. Like Enoch is the truth, because I've been finding stuff in Enoch that I can find in real life. I can find in the earth right now stuff that's going on that matches what's going on in this book. I see now why they wanted this book not around. And, a lot of people like to take these books out and go away with them because, the old Nicaea Eurocentric nonsense. There are some books that you got to watch, look at the authorship of them, because some of them, especially if they come from, if they come from Ashkenazis, like heavy Ashkenazi Jesuits and stuff like that, I put a very big question mark on that, because Jesuits, they're the ones that come in and they've been pretty much the hand of the Catholic Church for years. They're the reason why, some of the reason why that people around here thinking that people evolve from that a little microbe in the water just decided, I'm going to put legs on it. I'm just going to get up and walk on the earth one day. And and then all the earth came from a big cosmic fart and caused all this giant symmetry and whatnot. So, the Jesuits were heavy with, the Big Bang Theory and evolution and all that kind of stuff. But they changed this verse. So I'm going to read it. This is 67:1. Now, the first part is written by Enoch. The second part is Noah talking. So it's like, this is Noah's account. And so in those days, the word of God came to me and said, Noah, behold, your lot has ascended up to me, a lot void of crime, a lot beloved and upright. Now then shall the angels labor at the trees. But when they proceed at this, I will put my hand upon it and preserve it. The seed of life shall arise from it, and change shall take place. that the dry land shall not be left empty. I will establish your seed before me forever and ever, and the seed of those who dwell with you on the surface of the earth. It shall be blessed and multiplied in the presence of the earth in the name of the Lord. So Yah is basically letting Noah know, look, I'm about to do something in the earth. But right now, I'm gonna have, let you know that you're gonna be good, you're gonna be straight, you and your family, y'all gonna, take care of the earth in the next phase. But it's this one part right here that they changed. Now then shall the angels labor at the trees. Like, okay, labor at the trees. Now in the Et Sefer, it says they will build the ark, the wooden structure. They changed this to say ark and wooden structure, but that's not what it was. That's not what they were doing, because they said labor at the trees, so they just changed it to say, oh, they were building the ark. That's not what it said. They were laboring at the trees. Now you say, oh, okay, what does that mean? That's crazy. Why would they labor at the trees? Why would Yah have angels chopping down trees? Now, it's a well-known thing, not well-known. When you start reading other Gentile accounts of Noah, they all call him a gentle giant. There's that's by I mentioned a lot. I get the name, dude's name. I think it's Baracus. He has a writing about Noah, and he talks about Noah being a gentle giant. They talk about them being huge. They say that Adam and Eve were huge. They were 15 feet tall. They were talking about how big these people were that weren't. Now they're talking about giants. They're talking about regular humans. We see even from a lot of the fossils, we see giant things that were huge and big before, giant trees and giant, giant animals and stuff like that. We say, oh, they're dinosaurs and they were this, and we have all those different things. But it's like, man, this account in Enoch, why would y'all want him to cut down trees? When you think about trees give oxygen. If you have giant trees in the earth, you have a highly oxygenated atmosphere. With more oxygen, things grow bigger. And things will get bigger, and you also have even humans. We will live longer. This is why our days started trailing off. When y'all said, okay, I'm not going to always strive with man, I'm going to cut them down, chop them down like he chopped down in those trees. Because when you have less oxygen, now we don't live as long. Now we're only living like 70, 80 years old. But back in the day, Methuselah was 969 years old. Adam lived to be 900 some odd years old. These people living to be almost 1,600, 700, 800 years old. Even after the time of Noah, that they still lived a long time, but we see that the time got shorter and shorter as we see the genealogies progress. And this is because of the change that God did in the atmosphere. So it's like, okay, but if we had giant trees, wouldn't there be proof of them? Absolutely. There absolutely would. See, they tell us that these are basalt columns, that these are columns that, let me see if I have pictures of it right here. They tell us that these are basalt, that natural lava started flowing and it left this. So this is what your authoritative sources are telling you, that this is lava flow. This came from lava. This is, look, lava came and made this. Now, I don't know. Hold on. Let me just.
They do chemical tests on it to see what its makeup was.
They just say they're basalt, which is true. Now that happens. Remember when you have things that are underwater, they can do, I forget the process that they call it, especially in flood conditionings where they harden, where things will, like, they have the petrified trees, that petrified forests and stuff like that. Like solid matter will become the matter that's around it if it's in the right conditions. If oxygen gets in, then they'll allow bacteria to come in, and bacteria can do their job. They'll break it down. But if the bacteria can't get in, which is why floods are the best thing for it, because the bacteria can't get down there and it gets the air and it gets them in air pockets, then the biological material will take on the properties of what's around it. So if you have a big basalt area, like in these areas, that giant organic matter that was submerged under the flood is going to start taking on those properties and fossilize into what you see right here.
That's correct.
Exactly. And now, let's just for context, let's just look at dry lava.
And that's how dinosaur bones that we see now are preserved. That's also another indication that there was a global flood. The fact is that it moves in order for organic material to fossilize, it has to be covered rapidly. Facts. You have to have basically silt and everything cover the flesh rapidly. And so the question is, And they say it's like, oh, it's going to take a few years. No, no, no. It has to be done extremely fast, or it will simply decompose and break down, like you said, with bacteria. And how do you do that? How do you move that much material that fast over a large amount? You have to use something moving fast, like water.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what y'all was talking about. We'll look at even in the that's my mouse. Um, we look over here where he told in 66, he said, after this, he showed me the angels of punishment who were prepared to come and open all the mighty waters under the earth, that they may be for judgment and for the destruction of all those who remain and dwell upon the earth. And the Lord of spirits commanded the angels who went forth not to take up the men and preserve them. For those angels presiding over all the mighty waters, then I went out from the presence of Enoch. So he was over talking to Enoch, Noah, and he was told that, okay, they're going to do this, but they're holding off right now. So just like we were talking about, that water, this just goes more to push the narrative that there was a flood. I mean, it's so much stuff. You have fish on the mountain. They got fish bones in the mountains and stuff. It's so much stuff that points to a global flood. It's just ridiculous that people still try to say it's a myth. It's absolutely asinine. And this is what lava looks like when it dries up. Lava is a flow. It's liquid fire. So it stops like this. Lava don't take the shape like a basalt column unless it was like in a something that made it shaped like that. Look at all these shapes on here. These shapes are this doesn't let me make it big like that. We're getting back to 125.
It's part of fluid dynamics.
Exactly. They have to have something to make them sit like that. And when you come in and you look at these columns, let me see if I can get another one with. Here we go. Perfect. I'll use this one. Giant's Causeway is another one. I like Giant Causeway. Pull that one up. Let's see if it'll come up here, or I'll just open up the image. Fine, I'll just open the image. Oh, of course it will open after I try to open another image. Hold on, y'all. Sorry about that. I've been noticing too, websites have been really slow. And I got fast internet. And it's only like, it's definitely something going on the web. There's definitely a lot going down. But I don't know if I want to make this bigger so y'all can see it better. There, perfect. Now, look at this. And look at this. So they want to tell you that lava that did this is the same lava that did this. This is where you got to use your eyes and common sense. That doesn't look like a lava flow. That doesn't look like that. So what is that? What does that come from? So let's look closely at these columns. Let's look at this one in particular. This is the one I love to look at. Let's look at that. Look at this column here. Look at that. Look at that. What does that look like to you?
Interesting. Very interesting.
What does that look like to you? Hold on. Let me look up a frayed tree. See if I can find it. Find a good one here. No, let me see here. Hold on, I know. Let's look up fallen tree. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted to see. So you see this here?
Yes.
Look at how when you come into zoom it over here, you see how it's frayed, how a tree falls. Everybody knows when you see a tree fall, we all climbed trees and stuff as kids and broke branches and broke off limbs. I know I used to break tree limbs all the time trying to make like a bow staff or trying to make a sword.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I'm saying? And they get that frayed look. They have that look of being frayed. It's like, okay, that's a fallen tree that looks like that. Let me get another example. So let me see if I find another one, because not all trees are created. It also depends on how healthy the tree was when it died. More healthier trees will fall like that because they have more moisture in them. So when trees are like rich in moisture, that's when they fray like that. Because when trees are dry, they just chip over and fall. But when they have moisture in them, they fray, because you got a lot of that wood that's not just going to bend all easily. So that one's not as moist, so you can see it bending and breaking.
Right.
But you still got some fraying on there. It's hard to find because most trees that fall are unhealthy. Most of the time when you see a tree that falls like that, it's like a hurricane or something like that, and you'll see the fraying of a tree. But that's the fraying that you will see on the tree. So then when we turn around and we look up, get back on the right one. We look at this, that's looking a little different. What? Go ahead.
Yeah, so it does look. I mean, just like I said, it looks like the fibers inside of a tree. I'm not saying that's what it is, but it said that's meant. That's a very, very interesting shape that it will come out like that.
And it comes out taking that look. A lot of the basalt commons come out like that. There's another one that has that same frayed look, like you see down here, that little fray, like something was leaning over. How it starts leaning and tilting, and all the columns and stuff like that. This is a common look that you see with a lot of these different items. Even here, look at these suckers here, looking like stumps
Right.
on the little suckers right there. A lot of the time, the mesas, they're saying that a lot of the things that we call mesas and plateaus are just giant stumps or leftover stumps. Then how I say that is look at the shape of these rocks. Look at how the basalt columns, look at how they are. Now I want to show you a plant cell.
Hmm.
Let me go back and pull that. Let me see if I got that one
Geometry
picture.
matters.
Now that's another thing I'm gonna get into too, about geometry and the numbers and just Yah's wisdom. Yah is so wise. No matter how much they try to hide his truth will come out through simple nature. Nature is, I don't like calling it science. It's the workings of Yah. It's his wisdom. All of this earth exists because of the wisdom of Yah. You see this? That's plant cells. This is that is also how, look at how these columns are. Did I move it? I think I did. Where'd I put it? There it is. I want to make this one bigger. Look at that one, and look at these guys. That's real common. That's real common. But I got something even better. These are called giant Victoria water lilies. Yes, that is a child sitting on a plant. Yes, that is a grown woman sitting on a plant. These are giant water lilies. They're huge. Children and people can sit on them. Actually, at one point, certain men. This is from one of the old pictures here. This is them standing on the water lilies. There's the whole water lilies out there. They're standing on the water lilies. They're standing on the plants. These plants grow natural out there. They're huge, huge plants. So, this is one of them right here. This is a guy here with the plant. That's the plant. Y'all see that little underside of that plant?
Yeah.
Does that look familiar?
Very fibrous.
Does that look familiar? Does that look familiar? Does that look familiar? It's like, man, this is what a plant and a leaf would look like on a giant scale. See, we're used to plants on the current scale of what we see now, of like all the plants that are behind this gentleman right here. But when we look at these suckers here, the Rexy Yah is always going to leave trails for us to figure stuff out because he knows what was going on. So he allowed these plants to still grow at their old original size. Look at how big that is compared to this man. Look how big that is. This thing is huge, and he's got it flipped upside down. That's the stem of it right here in the middle. And then this is all the stuff coming out. So when you look at this, and then you're looking at this, and then you read in Enoch where he says, in those days, now then shall the angels labor at the trees. Then you start thinking that after the flood, people started living shorter. Let's use our knowledge of science. When you have more oxygen-rich environments, things grow bigger.
Correct.
When you have more oxygen, if we had more oxygen, we would probably be like 10 feet tall. We would have a ridiculous amount of a breathing capacity. We would be ridiculous. Like, I can only imagine how ridiculous all our antediluvian ancestors were. They were probably next level. Humanity is a far cry of what we used to be. It's the curse of sin and just y'all having to basically gimp the earth because the angels was taking advantage of stuff. So he's like, okay, I got to cut this down because they out here making stuff ridiculous right now. So I got to not only shorten the lives of men, because imagine what you could do with 500 years of life.
Right. And see, and that's, and because actually that's very, so it's very telling. Again, for those of people who practice any type of martial arts at all, one of the first things that you learn is breathing. It's trying to get as much oxygen into the body as possible when doing things, because when you do that, you notice that your body relaxes, your heart rate drops, and because there's more oxygen being pumped through your body into your cells, and your heart is not working as hard. And so imagine if we were in an oxygen rich, that basically more oxygen than we have now in our atmosphere. All right. Our cell structures would be a lot stronger. our hearts would probably be being way more efficient, and our lifespan would be a bit longer. Our brains would become more efficient.
Ooh,
So
boy.
and this is also another, and this is another reason why, again, that I can't ever get with evolution. Now, before I was a believer, or actually I was a young believer. Of course, I believed the narrative because I didn't know any better. I didn't study it for myself.
Mm-hmm.
But once I started actually studying science and start looking at the logic of things, like wait a minute, wait. No, if you have an oxygen-rich atmosphere and things were bigger then, if we have a reducing atmosphere, things would go smaller. If we were living longer then in an oxygen-rich atmosphere and we live less now, it's like we're not evolving, we're devolving. Also, the second law of thermodynamics tells us things don't go from chaos to order, it's the other way around.
That, man, there it is right there. I mean, quantum physics at a basic level, you might get a little nerdy for y'all, but quantum physics at a basic level is literally called chaos theory, and everything functions at a fundamental. Right now, all the molecules in my body are being quantum right now. I got quantum tunneling going on in my body. I got all kinds of stuff going on in the quantum level in my body, just of my body alone. Not even counting the objects that we have and that we're dealing with. Like, everything is constantly in motion. Even though our eyes see it as a still object, it's because our perception sees it that way. But when you get down to the quantum level, everything is in motion. It's a whole different ball game down there. And it's like this is why they call it chaos theory, because there's a lot of chaos going on, and they're like, how is all this, they're trying to find out how this chaos can bring so much order. And of course, they always come up with all these crazy things, but we know it's the working of Yahuwah. Yahuwah is the one who puts everything together and puts it in its place. He's the one that I hate when they say, and they always give it to Greeks or some European that, they discovered mathematics. You didn't discover mathematics. You didn't or they say they created mathematics. You didn't create mathematics. Even when they give it to Sumerians, the Sumerians created mathematics. No, they didn't. They discovered what was already there.
It's called the ordinances of the heavens. That's what Job talks about, the ordinance of the heavens, the laws of physics that we see now. Like say we laws of physics. Like, it's called the ordinance of the heavens because we have a Father who is most efficient in his design.
Man, the next thing we're gonna talk about with the numbers is gonna just be like, what in the world? And I haven't even gotten all that, but I want to pull that out because these things work better when we work together as a group. I'm not in that, I'm gonna be the first person to bring this up. I'm gonna bring it out. Like, I want to bring out the part that I have, and I look forward to somebody taking it and running with it, and then we just expand on it from there. Like, this is how we're gonna undo the nonsense, because these people have been lying for years. They've been hiding stuff, but they can't hide everything. They're not all powerful. And Yahuwah is true. And he's basically he's the ultimate. To say it was chess is to make it too, like, to make the game too mundane. Even if I said go, like, the level of he's been playing the ultimate long game.
Right.
Yahuwah plays the ultimate long game. So we see that, this is, even before I was, woke up, I knew, I had a feeling, because I noticed the time, even when we were talking about the oxygen, I noticed that the times got lower after the flood. So even then I assumed, and I knew, I'm like, something happened. I assumed that then that it was when y'all opened the windows of heaven and the rain came, that it put a change in the atmosphere that lowered the oxygen. That's how I assumed that it happened before, because that's before I was, reading the book of Enoch and stuff. But now seeing the book of Enoch and seeing these things, looking at these things, it's like, wait a minute. Like, even, let me see here. Even the giant, what they call mesas, the giant, like, plateaus and stuff, where are they at? Oh, here we go. There's another one.
Devil's Tower.
Devil's Tower. Another one. You see them same? They're the same columns, the same basalt, the same. They're fraying and moving. They got that same thing right there. There's another one I'm looking for in particular. A lot of these are giant stumps. The stumps that you're seeing, they claim that these are the stumps because, again, they're perfectly flat at the top. Like, what part in nature, doesn't usually do it? That you're gonna have some, you're gonna have little erosion. Erosion is gonna make it a little uneven. You're not gonna, even when we have roads, this is why we gotta repave our roads. We make roads and stuff, and just natural erosion and use is gonna make it not be as flat as it was. It changes. So when we start looking at, we gotta start using our eyes and stop letting them. We look at the earth, because before, we even are born, they put images of what the world is in our mind. They give us images from kids, from a time when we're little. They show. I remember seeing little stuff about like evolution and all that kind of stuff, and they always show us all these things to get our preconceived notions set. So when we look at these things, we don't have a pure view of what it is. We've already been told what it is. We take geography. Oh, these are mesas. These are flat mesas that were all, designed up and all this and that. They tell us, oh, these are basalt columns. And, they tell us this stuff already. So we just think, oh, okay, that's what it is. And, we just go with it because that's what the consensus is. We don't think twice about it. But when you start digging in scripture and then you start using your eyes for yourself, you're like, wait a minute. This doesn't look like lava just sat here and did this. What part of lava does this?
Right. And that's the thing, because I was especially back in the 90s studying a lot of creationism, and even now, like I said, I've come back to studying, because again, we have two paradigms we're talking about. One paradigm says that the Earth is 6,000 years old, based upon Bishop Ussher's theory from the 1600s, saying that the Earth was created in October 27th, 4004 BC. That's how they're getting that number. And then you have the other paradigm says that the Earth is billions and billions and billions of years old. The problem is with a lot of that, again, it's like if you don't know basically the science behind something, how things work, or pay real close attention to it, you easily go with what is being told to you. Because again, when you're in school, like again, I'm not against school. I am very much for education. The problem only comes in is that when we say, okay, if everything you say here is perfect, and you don't either learn to look at it, for yourself, or look at other sources, that's when it can become problematic. I said that, my view on certain things, say it's because of my observation of things that I have seen and analyzed. When it comes to, like, say again, this right here, let's say, well, due to volcanic upheaval during a certain period in Earth, Earth's time period, this is how we got this thing. I'm thinking, well, if you are breaking up the rocks of the deep like Yah did and the flood, why would something like this not happen? It doesn't take billions or millions of years to happen. They've actually shown that. Like I said, I know, and I can tell you one thing right now, real quick. When they say that, it takes millions of years to form a canyon, it's not true. They observed it in they observed it over a period of, it was a matter of weeks. When Mount St. Helens erupted, I have the book. When Mount St. Helens erupted back in May of 1980, it cut a channel and show a canyon forming over a period of weeks. It wasn't millions of years. They have the pictures. They took pictures as it was happening. If I can find the book I know it's on my shelf, I'll tell you what it is, and you could look at it for yourself and go like, okay, take a look at this, take at what they say, and like, what do we have here? What's the truth? Using scientific method. I'm like, observation. Yes. This is what they saw. Who wins?
Right. No, and I agree. I agree with that, because I saw when they talk about like stalactites and stalagmites, they say, oh, they take hundreds and thousands of years. The same, that same thing. Everything takes thousands and hundreds of years. These crazy exalted numbers. But they built a college, and under the college in the garage, there were stalactites forming from the water coming from the from off the water pipes, were forming in the garage. It was falling on kids the kids' cars, and they had to put a thing up to block the stalactites from coming down. They were stalactites literally forming. They have a man-made building that was like 50 years old. It's like only 50 years old, and there's stalactites growing underneath it already. They always try to make these like crazy numbers up to say that you need these long time periods, but that's where the deception comes in. It doesn't take that long. There's another thing where I think I showed it before. They call it the rhinestone cowboy, where they found a cowboy boot that was in the flood, same conditions. It was in a mudslide, and all you had was the dude's foot and the boot. The boot was fine, but the foot became calcified, and it literally took on the properties of all the minerals around it. Because again, our body is made of those same minerals.
Correct.
So it's not hard for it to come in and turn it. The earth is a cycle. Everything in the earth, nothing is wasted. Everything in the earth stays in the earth. This is why when we die, we return to the dust. Everything in this earth stays here. Yah has the perfect cycle set up. There's like the law of motion, the conservation of energy and mass. Right. Energy and mass is never wasted. When you burn something, it doesn't go away. It just turns into a new form.
Correct. But it is say, matter can energy could matter can either be it basically it say created or destroyed, but say it simply changes form. I'm like, yes,
Yep.
God created an efficient universe, even with the fall, because it's sin, which I believe that's why second law of thermodynamics came about, because of the fall. It's like we see, like I say again, we go from one form to another, but none of it said the conservation of mass, conservation of energy, because they're equivalent. It just changes form. That's all it
That's
does.
it. That's it. When you take water and you put fire to it, that water doesn't go away. It just becomes gas.
Correct. Exactly. It becomes steam. That
It
energy
just
becomes steam.
Exactly. I mean, our clouds is the perfect example. We're like in a giant big water bottle. You know what I'm saying? The water from the earth comes up and it forms the clouds, and then the clouds get dense, and then it becomes rain, which comes back down, and then it goes through the whole cycle. We learned this in school, the water cycle. It's
Yep.
the whole cycle of how water goes. It's the same thing with with your body, with energy, everything. Nothing goes away. It doesn't get deleted. It just goes to a different form. That's all it is. It's still there. Even if you can perceive it or not, it's still there. It's just broken up in a different form.
Correct.
So,
The scriptures even talk about basically what we call the hydrologic cycle. It talks about it and say, again, you want to find these things out, you can definitely go into the book of Job. He talks about these things, and it's like science is like basically says science is Johnny come lately. It was already being it's already being talked about way back in the day.
Yeah, the Bruce knew it. The Bruce knew it. In Second Esdras, they were talking about how when their kids were born in their later parts of their life, that they were different than the kids that were born in the prime of their life. So they had an understanding even of genealogy, of genetics, even then. Because even back, because we got to understand the whole reason why the flood happened. Noah wasn't this perfect dude. As we see later on, he got drunk. He figured out liquor. He used to drink. You know what I'm saying? Noah wasn't perfect. You know what I'm saying? But y'all said he was perfect in his genealogy. What did he mean? He meant that his genes, he was still human. He was still a human being. He hadn't done anything to manipulate himself, because these angels have come in and that's what they were doing. This is why y'all brought about their punishment, which is another thing that I want to go into for the next part. That brings me into the segue. I want to go further down in that scripture. It says, after he did that, he goes, and they shall confine those angels which disclose impiety. Now we're talking about the watchers. They came down and they did all the nonsense. They were teaching people genetic manipulation. This is why when you see all those things on the walls with the half ibis and half all that, this is what they taught. The Bible talks about how they taught the mixing of species. They taught how to mix stuff and how to do things. There's all sorts of pictures that are carved on these cathedrals and in these old ancient churches, and there's all kinds of weird creatures on them. Why would they carve these weird creatures into these buildings and into these? I showed that before about the I forget the name of it. The one creature with the big foot that's literally they got a carving of it in the church on the pew. If this thing was just some fake thing, why do they got it carved everywhere? Why is there so much text, and why are they talking about these creatures? What is all these different things that they're talking about? But I'm going to go into this part. Dry land shall not be left empty. This right here is going to show this part that I'm going to show here to show you that there is something to this book. This is one of the things that I'm going to put out there to show that there's something to Enoch. Dry land shall not be left. I'm going to go down again. And they shall confine those angels who disclose impiety in that burning valley. It is that they shall be confined, which at first my great-grandfather Enoch showed me in the west, where there were mountains of gold and silver, of iron, of fluid metal, and of tin. I beheld that valley in which there was great perturbation, and where the waters were troubled. Remember the mountains. Remember these mountains here. I beheld that valley in which there was great perturbation, and where the waters were troubled. And when all this was affected from the fluid mass of fire and the perturbation which prevailed in that place, there arose a strong smell of sulfur, which became mixed with the waters in the valley of the angels, who had been guilty of seduction, burned underneath its soil. Through that valley also rivers of fire were flowing, to which those angels shall be condemned, who seduce the inhabitants of the earth. And in those days shall be, now again, and when the Bible talks about, and in those days, you got to look at it in context. And in those days here, he's talking about in the future. And in those days shall these waters be to kings, to princes, to the exalted, and to the inhabitants of the earth, for the healing of the soul and body, and for the judgment of the spirit. Their spirits shall be full of revelry, that they may be judged in their bodies, because they have denied the Lord of spirits. And although they perceive their condemnation, that Lord of Spirits is who I forget what it is, Yahuwah Eloka, I think it is, Yahuwah Elohaka or something like that they have on there. But then basically the Lord, the Yah of Ruach, he's the Elohim of Ruach, and although they perceive their condemnation day by day, they believe not in his name. And as the inflammation of their bodies shall be great, so shall their spirits undergo a change forever. For no word which is uttered before the Lord of Spirits it shall be in vain. Judgment has come upon them, because they trusted in their carnal revelry and denied the Lord of Spirits. In those days shall the waters of that valley be changed. For when the angels shall be judged, then shall the heat of those springs of water experience an alteration. And when the angels shall ascend, the waters of the springs shall again undergo a change and be frozen. Then I heard the holy Michael answering and saying, this judgment which the angels shall be judged shall bear testimony against the kings, the princes, and those who possess the earth. For these waters of judgment shall be for their healing and for the death of their bodies, but they shall not perceive and believe the waters will be changed and become a fire which shall blaze forever. Now there's a lot that was said right there. So when he first said that, this stuck out here to my mind. I'm like, wait a minute. He said there were mountains of gold, silver, iron, fluid metal, and tin. So I'm like, huh. I'm like, okay, what in the world is that? Let me close these. I'm gonna close these all down so I can lessen my windows here, because I'm about to get into this next part here. I'm done with that. Okay. So first thing I'm gonna do, actually I don't have it on here. Yeah, man, my thing is being dumb. I'm gonna just look up CERN. I'm gonna first type in CERN. All right. Everybody knows what CERN is. We all know CERN. We all see, you see the 666. Again, keep that in mind. I'm going to go to one other thing about these numbers and all this stuff. I'm going to bring all this together and show how all this is related, and show that not only is this book of Enoch valid, but there's something to it, because these people believe it and they're following through with it, but it's only us that fell for the Christian system that's ignoring it. This, they understand it and they know what it is. So CERN is built on France and Switzerland. France is located in France and Switzerland, right? Mm-hmm. So now let's go to France, the Volcanic World Cup Group E. So France has active volcanoes. France is an active volcano area. I didn't know this. France has active volcanoes and what they got going on. Switzerland, remember he said it was in a valley. He said the valley that it shall be combined. Switzerland is full of valleys. Switzerland has, as a matter of fact, CERN's in one of the valleys. They have a bunch of valleys out there. These are all the different valleys that they got going on in Switzerland. So I'm like, okay, they got valleys and all that kind of stuff in there. And then my other thing closed. So I'm going to do this. Here we go. Hold on. Dang it. So I can type. I'm trying to type with one hand. Hold on, y'all. My bad. It closed. I told you I've been having weird issues. It closed my things down. I don't like that. So it doesn't have all the mines here. No, I don't want salt mines. I just want mines. There we go. There we go. All right. So here we go. You're right there between France and Switzerland. You got all that right there. Mm-hmm. Now Switzerland, they have aluminum. They have where is it? They don't have the whole one there. Yeah, of course, they don't have it all there. Switzerland has a gold mine. I'm just going to just type them in individually. So it's gold mines in Switzerland. They have a gold mine on the Switzerland. This is their mines in the mountains there. They have a gold mine. Switzerland also, let me see, what's the other one that they had? This is good that I'm showing. This is showing a good process. This is a good process that you can learn for how you look and investigate things in the word and start looking into stuff. I just started Googling stuff and started finding out. They say mountains of gold. Okay, silver. Let's see if they have silver. So let's go ahead and type in silver mines in Switzerland. Oh, the silver mines of Schwarz. Germany and Switzerland have silver mines. There they go, riding through the mines. There's silver mines in Switzerland. All right, so now we're 2 of 2. Okay, iron. All right, let's see if they got an iron mine. Let's see if there's iron mines in Switzerland. They got iron mines? Let's see, let's go over there. Mineral resources of Switzerland. Yep, iron and manganese. There we go right here. Minerals of Switzerland. Got a collection of mineral deposits in the natural history of Mism, includes coal, asphalt, bituminous shale oil. They have iron in there. Yep, there it is. Iron ore, manganese ore, copper ore. All right, cobalt. They got mines up in there. So he was like, they got the iron. There's fluid metal. You know, the volcanoes. That's the fluid metal. And tin. Tin is also, they have tin mines. I didn't know this. I didn't know that they had tin mines in Switzerland. But Switzerland has tin mines. Let's see here. Let me find one. Yes, they got it. That was still right here. So look, and it should be. Nope, they don't have it on this one. This one sucks. Tin mining in process. There we go. Gerber tin mine. And let me see here. Wait, no, that's not it either. Ah, man, I had it. This makes me so mad because I had it open. There's a tin mine in Switzerland as well. Let me pull it in like this. Actually, I know what I'll do. There we go. Mining in Britain. There it is. Sunag Limbling Mines. Sometimes I use Brave for searching, but unfortunately, sometimes Brave will give you some weird results, and Google will give you certain results. So if I'm looking for like just non-political stuff, I'll search Google because Google will give me more results than other browsers will.
Right.
They'll give you better results. But I use Brave when I search for like political stuff because Google curates answers and stuff. So I kind of swap between the two. So when I hit the exclamation mark and the G before my search, if you're using an alternate browser and you're searching, like I use Brave. Brave is my browser that I use. And yeah, Brave is good. I love Brave. I used to use DuckDuckGo. Don't use DuckDuckGo no more because they're basically getting down with the censorship. This is a little tech update for everybody. DuckDuckGo is down with the censorship. They announced it on Twitter like some weeks ago. So I switched from them to the Brave search. And it's been okay. I've been liking Brave search. But sometimes I do got to go back to Google. So one of the hot switches is you put an exclamation mark and a G in your search and then put a space and type in your search. And then it'll bust out into Google. That's why it busted out to Google here, as opposed to here, you see it says Brave, and then when I put in the exclamation mark and the G, it came up Google. So it's a little tech tip for you right there. But here's the mines, the tin mines over there in Switzerland. They have tin mines. So I'm like, okay, so they have all the mines that are there. But then it talks about how they will go and sit in the heat of those springs. They said that was going to change. And they said they thought that it would be for their healing, but Yah's going to turn those waters around on them. So I'm like, waters for healing, that sounds like hot springs, right? That sounds like a hot spring. You know, hot springs are typically, you know, set up like that. So here you have, in France, hot springs, natural occurring hot springs. This is the natural hot springs of Prats Bulgar and France's Pyrenees Orientales. So these are natural hot springs in France. So all these places where they built CERN matches this place where they say that these angels are locked up, and Yah has them locked up in a place under the earth. He has them locked in a place. They built CERN there. We know CERN, they do those weird experiments. I'll have to go back and, you know, overall, we talked about it. I talked about it with Teo and Sister E before too, where I showed the weird ritual that they have going on over there. Now, you know, just for context, I'll give you a quick, look. Because see, you may say, oh, that's just coincidence. Oh, that's just I don't know. See, they call it a hoax, of course. You know, they call it a hoax. But this was outside of CERN. Out there. Now, number one, they have a giant Shiva sitting out there. And then they went out there and they had this person basically get sacrificed in front of the statue. Then the other thing that they did in that tunnel that was nearby was this weird one. I showed everybody this weird tunnel thing that they had going on. This was the other thing. This is a tunnel near CERN. And this is the ritual that they did for opening the tunnel. This is their experiment. Let me play some of it. It's long, so I'm gonna skip through some parts of it. Got this. Now, mind you, this is just for a tunnel opening. This is just a tunnel opening. That's all it is. This is a tunnel that's near CERN. And they dug through the rock and opened the tunnel, and this is the opening ceremony.
Yeah, that's.
Come on now.
Okay,
Come
I
on now.
wonder, like, why would y'all do that to open up a particle accelerator?
Thank you.
That's
Thank
makes
you.
say
Thank you.
collide your heavy ions. Let's be done.
Why not just have a ribbon cutting? Look, why not just cut some ribbons and have everybody come out there, drink some wine or something, and hey, we did it, yay! Serve some food. This is their opening ceremony. Let me skip ahead some.
Or
Oh, this dude is he's probably talking over it. That's why. Oh, okay. You know, so the whole part. Oh, okay, yeah, he's showing.
also said the tree of life
I don't want him talking.
unite.
I just wanted to find one without it. But yeah, it gets even weirder. It goes outside the tunnel. They have all this stuff going on. There's even a part where, let me see if I can mute this or see if I can find. There's even a part where there's a. Let me see if I can find it. There's a part in this. Here it is. See, you got this guy down here, the little devil dude.
Yeah, I remember this.
Yeah, remember that? Yeah, and then the woman comes and she hugs the dude, and then the woman backs away, and then another dude comes out with a big devil head with a human body.
Yeah, I did look. I did look this up. I mean, after sure, I remember this. I said, let me go look this up real quick just to see, for myself what's up. And it was like, okay, yeah, this is creepy.
It's the whole thing is weird and creepy. It gives the whole creepiest vibe. They're doing all this weird, crazy stuff. Again, this is at CERN, the same place with all the mountains. Oh, there it is. That's the thing right there. That's the woman. That's her, dude coming over there to hugging the woman, and then the woman's gonna go away, and then there's gonna have like a little child demon come out. And it's the Goddard Trail got it. It's the Goddard tunnel opening where they were doing over there. They were doing this opening. So again, this is in the same area that matches the Burning Valley, and it says the same area where these spirits were locked up. What are they doing in CERN? What is CERN's primary goal?
Are you asking or are you saying?
Yeah. What's their primary goal? It's kind of like rhetorical.
No, basically okay. The official understanding of what CERN is basically is probing. They're trying to model what they consider the Big Bang by smashing particles, particularly like heavy ions, at the speed of light. Because when you do that, you get particle traces. I don't know if you've ever seen the pictures before, get particle showers and so forth, and see what happens, because the more massive something is, the more you can accelerate it, the more energy is, the more mass. This is whole special relativity, quantum field theory stuff. Right. But once they come together, they do smash, you'll see the particle showers. And then you say, oh, we found this particle here, or we found this here. Basically, the higher the energy, the more particles you could possibly find. And it's a way to try to simulate what they think was the beginning of the universe.
Exactly. And what they're doing basically is they're trying to break matter down.
Right.
They're trying to break it down to elementary particles. This is why they're looking for quarks, and this is why they start looking for all these other things. They had the one the what they call it, the God particle.
The Higgs boson.
The Higgs, exactly. They found the Higgs, which is another particle that's smaller than the quarks and stuff. They're trying to break matter down to base elementary particles. Why would you want to break something down to the base? I understand for understanding, but what is it that you're doing there? And in the way that they're doing it is very interesting, because what they're doing, and I've used this example before, the way that they're doing it is essentially like taking two trucks, smashing them together, and then saying, all right, let's look at the parts and see how it all works.
Right, exactly. That's exactly what it is. You're taking something that's ordered and turning it into disorder.
Correct. And that's so perfectly put. Taking order and turning it into disorder. Why? Mm-hmm. Why would you want to take order and turn it into disorder? Why are you in that location doing all these weird things and doing all this stuff and breaking matter down in a place where you have the actual name of your place, and the actual logo of your place has 666 in it. It's embedded in the image of CERN. Let me pull up their logo so you can see it kind of right there. Let's see if it'll pull me. Oh goodness!
This one comes to the hard part, especially first of all that that Yah made his universe understandable because it all points back to him. The problem is that being being the physics science geek, what I am, I always had to temper my excitement for these things. Say, okay,
Mm-hmm.
let's say both say what is the truth? Say, what does mankind always want to do? What's its greatest desire? To
To
become
play
like
God.
the most high. And if we can
Yes.
understand the universe at its most fundamental levels in our minds, we think that if we can understand this, what can we build? What
Hmm.
can we do for our glory, for our image?
Hmm.
I think it's, and, that's how, I say again, I say I love science, but again, we also have to temper it with spiritual wisdom when
Correct.
we're approaching it. So I said that. So that's why I just want to say that again. It's a particle accelerator, but the fact they had that weird little ritual going on with that stuff, it gives me pause. Like, what is your real intent besides trying to
Correct.
study the universe? Why would you do that?
Correct. Because that's what they see. They always, whenever this is how they get us with science. They always tell us stuff, and they tell us, "Oh, it's going to be for the goodness of mankind," and "Oh, for man, look at how many interesting things have been found as a result of cancer study." None of it has been, you like they literally. I think they said they took an HIV virus and they retrofitted it to attack cancer cells.
Mm-hmm.
Like, wait a minute, y'all understand HIV enough to reprogram it? Then how come we don't have a cure?
See, and exactly that's what I'm saying. Like I said, loving science, and so forth. I mean, I love science as in like, it's over the most high. No, no, no. It's good to have understanding of science, but again, it's tempering it, get from the lens of Yah. I said again, like go to the Bible. We talked about the hydrologic cycle. The same thing. It's like, say it wasn't just some random thing that has happened over a period of time. The cycle just simply came about. I say no, it was an intentional design by Yah for water to recycle itself.
Correct. Correct.
Like,
Correct.
and that's it, and that's what it is. So again, there's nothing wrong with science. It's always just understand. You said just looking at it objectively, looking at again from the scriptures, analyzing it, that way as well. Because again, math is part of this thing. Numbers don't lie, but again, you still have to look at that from a scriptural viewpoint.
Exactly. Exactly. And I show things like this to make you ask questions. That's why I call myself thoughts brewer, to get your thoughts going, to start questioning the things, the narratives and stuff that you are presenting. Because this right here, if they're just doing all of that, then what in the world is the need for all this nonsense? What's the
Correct.
need for this? What is that? Why is there always all this weird stuff going on around this place? And y'all are in there at the same place that matches scripture, a valley that has iron, liquid metal. They have lava, and they have the thermal places. It talks about it said they shall undergo a change and be frozen. Some of the valleys are frozen, and it says that this angel shall bear testimony against the kings and princes who possess it. For these waters of judgment for their healing and for the death of their bodies, but they shall not perceive it. It also talks about the inflammation of their bodies will be great. So where is that at? Right here. When you go to thermal water, this is why people like hot springs. I learned about hot springs and stuff because I like Japan stuff, and I learned about Japanese hot springs. So I just started researching them and stuff. That's how I knew about hot springs. But hot springs, they said thermal water is taken from natural springs. It contains minerals that have been shown to enrich the skin. It offers a variety of benefits on the skin, such as calming and anti-inflammatory effects.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
What did our forebear Enoch say? What did he tell us that they said that they were going to do? He said, and no, he said that Michael told him, and then he said, although they perceive their condemnation day to day, they shall not believe not in his name. And as the inflammation of their bodies shall be great, so shall their spirits undergo a change forever.
Mm.
See, these people over there thinking that they're doing what they're doing. See, this is not just a message to be like, this is a message of comfort to know that y'all called them. This is back during the flood. This is during the flood. This is long before CERN, long before David, long before Hebrews was even walking around. Like, we hadn't even been formed as a people yet. Y'all still dealing with the old flood, and he's dealing with this situation. He's already into the daytimes when he knew that they was going to come back and do this again. They were coming back to do and go against his order to set these things free. Because you got to remember, we're not fighting against people. It's not Esau and all that. Yeah, Esau is the ones being used as, a lot of brews like to say. We're fighting principalities and powers. This is why so many people get caught up just, oh, Gentiles this and Gentiles that, and oh, Gentiles can't be saved and all this other stuff. Everybody's just so focused on the Gentiles. You focus on the wrong thing. You focus on the wrong enemy. Yah told us we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against rulers and powers, principalities in dark places. This is what we're talking about. We're talking about those fallen angels that have came down and started to do their plan. When these angels came down, it wasn't just because they wanted to just, they were just lustful in their bodies and like, oh, these women so fine, I just can't contain myself. No, they wanted to be, this all goes into a bigger plan. What did Satan say? I will be like the Most High. So how do you be like the Most High? What did he do? The Most High created mankind. He created all of this earth. So what did they do? They come down, they start creating something after their kind. They start manipulating all the stuff in here, creating new creatures. This is why you got all these images of the half humans, half horse, and all these different creatures and all this different stuff that's going on. I might do another one and just go in on all the different creatures that talked about, in the Bible that we've just missed off and stuff. Because when you read Bel and the dragon, there's a whole dragon that they were dealing with that was real, that was alive. It was a real dragon. You say, oh, that's not real. It was probably a snake. It was not real. Okay, well, when we look at medieval tapestry, do they not draw dragons and stuff? There's all sorts of cultures that draw these giant lizard creatures called dragons. Even in Job, he talks about Leviathan and this giant dragon-like creature. It's not just, y'all don't just talk just in like they try to say, oh, he was talking about pride. If he was talking about pride, he would have dealt with him. He would have said pride. Why would y'all was talking about a real creature? Because when y'all was talking to Job, he was letting him know that, hey, you not the end all be all. I am. You know that this creature, this giant creature that you can't deal with, yeah, I that's my lightweight. I go fishing for that. I catch him and fry him on the grill. That's nothing to me. Like, you know what I'm saying? He was letting him know. And then the Christianity takes it and they twist, oh, he's talking about pride. And blah, blah, blah. No. He's talking about a real creature to humble Job so Job can look that, this giant dragon creature, I can't do nothing with it. But the Most High grabs him by his nostrils and just pull him up out of the water like it ain't nothing. So
right.
This is one of the things that I make for Enoch, where I'm like, Enoch is more legit than people give it credit for. Because even if it's not, let's just say all this is just all coincidental. If it's coincidental, these people believe it. Look at what they're doing. They're over here having praise and worship for these deities over here at this place. You can see in the background how they had that big screen with eyes and stuff. Look at all this nonsense. If we can say, oh, well, y'all read, you're tripping. Oh, you're looking too deep into it. I don't think you're looking deep enough. Because these people clearly look what these people got going on. Look at this. Look at this. These people believe. They know something is over there. They know something is down there, and they're actively, look at this. This is so demonic. This is like Celtic Druid worship with the trees and whatnot. Another thing that's interesting is you notice how Druids, they love trees. They are in love with trees. It would make sense that they would have a veneration for trees after the flood, because the trees would have kept the flood from happening. That's why y'all cut the flood down. Cut the trees down, because trees absorb water. And you can imagine the roots of a giant tree like that, it probably would have absorbed all the water up, and it wouldn't have been efficient. So he got rid of the trees. So number one, the Nephilim couldn't climb up and make tree houses. And number two, so that way they will flood the earth more efficiently. They love trees. The Celtics are heavily pagan, and they love trees. Trees is a big thing.
Yep, and with the skulls and everything, I've seen bands that basically, they talk to, go back to their pagan roots, and there was like a skull like that, some type of steer or whatever at the base of a tree that they bowed to. And it was like, yeah, that this is part of their what they call their anti-Christian rhetoric in their music. There's like that. Yep, they went back to this skull and was bowing to it. And it's like, and it's kind of, that's why I saw the skull. Like, I'm like, I've seen that before. Yeah.
And it's again, we see these things all throughout culture, because our culture is heavily Hellenized. It's not our culture. This is European culture that we live in. This is a heavy European culture. Everything, even the words that we use. I don't like using the word philosophy because it comes from philios, and that ties into deities and all that stuff. Like a lot of the language that we use, even fortune, wheel of fortune. Fortune was a deity.
Yes, it was.
Is a Greek deity that was of the goddess of luck. When they say drawing lots and all that kind of stuff, that's where all that comes from. When they say they're going to read the bones, that's another thing. They'll read dice. This is why some people say dice was demonic, because they would throw bones, but they changed them into dice later on. But they would usually throw bones, and how the bones landed, they would interpret that to give you a fortune.
Correct.
This was tied to fortune, the wheel of fortune. The wheel of fortune itself, the game show, is a demonic thing. The wheel stands for like the wheel of karma. Things come around in a circle. In circles. Wait a minute. In circles. Like it's one of the more sacred geometry. Circles. These are the same things we see even when we look at old Indian buildings and old Mayan buildings. We see stuff that's similar to this geometry. This geometry wasn't just chosen because, oh, this is efficient and the computer told us to do it. They are tapping into old knowledge. This is not new. This type of stuff was done before during the Tower of Babel. I truly believe the Tower of Babel was CERN 1.0. Because that was their job then, was to try to jump up into heaven and go and do what they had to do. And Yah said, hey, if we let them sit here and do it, they can do some stuff. So that just goes to show that if they sit there long enough, they're actually able to break through barriers that Yah has put in this world. There are barriers in this world that for certain things that go after their kind. Like a spirit being can't exist in the earth realm. It doesn't. It has to have a body. This is why demon spirits use a body. This is why Yah works through us, because he follows his own rules. He could just come down and do what he wants. But he's like, no, if I do that, then I'm a tyrant. I'm gonna follow the same rules that I set everybody else up with. So Yah used the physical body. That's why he came down as Yahusha. He came down in a man, half man, all man, all God, and walked this earth and said, okay, I'm gonna do what I gotta do, but I'm gonna do it as flesh in the earth. He had to come down in flesh to do things in the earth. He follows his own rules. And these people understand that. They understand that there's rules in place because they need to tap into these fallen angels. There's some of the technology and stuff that we get, and it's like become, man, how many often, brother, do we send links to each other about just crazy stuff that we saw that we used to dream about as kids? Like that's just never going to happen in our lifetime, and now we're seeing it happen.
Right. Exactly. There's a lot of stuff. We was like, man, even now that talked about back in the day, we have flying cars. It's like, oh, it's what happened in 2000. It didn't, but it's starting to happen now. We are seeing that with flying cars. It's like, ooh, wow. And it seems again, like when the Bible talks about in the last days, knowledge shall increase, and men shall run to and fro. That's exactly what we've been seeing. Now, some people were talking about just, well, we got jets and everything, but I'm like, now we're starting to get personal air vehicles, VTOLs, vertical takeoff and landing, that you can buy now. And all they got to do is set up the infrastructure and laws and stuff for people to use it. And it wouldn't be surprising in the next 10 years or so, we do see some people flying over with stuff.
Yeah. I mean, there's already. I'm just hold on. Let's see here. I think I've shown this before, but I like to show it again. So I like to show proof, so people don't think I'm just. It's a lot. Unfortunately, our people, we will we go with stuff off half. We don't get the full information before we run with stuff, and this is where these crazy, nonsense theories come from. This is why I'm very peculiar about the things that I present and go forward with, because there's so much stuff that people say that's just unfounded, and it's just like, based off of, nonsense. And I'm like, okay, there's a lot of things that I look at sideways, but that's why I like to show y'all, how I look up stuff and like to show the answer. Not only that, but it also help, those that don't have that don't know how to do it, because we're not taught that. Unfortunately, we're not taught how to research. We're not taught how to thoroughly vet a matter, how to dive through a thing and go and stuff. We're just taught to just follow what somebody tells us.
Correct. Yeah, we're not taught to think.
No, even when you go on YouTube videos, they put these stupid pop-ups on things like, oh, this is debunked. I don't need you to tell me that it's debunked. Let me look at it for myself and determine for myself what it is. Let me do that. But see, they don't want you to do that, because when you start thinking for yourself, then you come out of the paradigm. There's one brother, Iwar Anon. I love watching his videos. I watched his videos from the start. And in the start, he was kind of, agnostic. He's like, man, I don't know, but it's looking like there might be something more to this. And now on his latest videos, he's like, yeah, there's a guy. Because this is why they changed the nature of our universe, and they changed the nature with this science stuff. Because when you start investigating this world and you start seeing the intelligence of Yah, you can't help but say that this is real. this is a real thing. Let me find I think it was the Navy that did it. Is this it? No, man. This one might have a picture of. I can't remember what they called it. It was I think that's part of it. This is it right here. Let me see here. This is it. Yep, this is it right here. A craft using an inertial mass reduction device. What this is saying is this is a patent from 2018. No, 2016 rather. Sorry. This is a government patent that they put up and they put out there. The United States put this in. This is a patent, a whole real patent of the United States. And it is a craft using an inertial mass reduction device. Let me search this sucker here, and then I'll pull up the actual thing, and then I'll zoom it in and read to y'all what this thing is that they have and that they're doing. See, this is
yeah. I already figured out. I'm like, oh wow, okay. But go ahead.
Let me they got me in Google Patents because you put it there. Let me search it there. Boom, there it is. All right, perfect. And I'm gonna zoom this up some so you guys can see it some a little better. So it's a craft using an inertial mass reduction device comprising of an inner resonant cavity wall, an outer resonant cavity, and microwave emitters. The electrically charged outer resonant cavity wall and the electrically insulated inner resonant cavity wall form a resonant cavity. The microwave emitters create high-frequency electromagnetic waves throughout the resonant cavity, causing the resonant cavity to vibrate in an accelerated mode and create a local polarized vacuum outside the outer cavity wall. So essentially, in layman terms, there's a cavity wall that they have built in, and they have special electromagnetic microwave emitters in there, and it generates a frequency in between there, and it starts vibrating at this frequency. And when this frequency reaches a certain point, it creates a resonation that polarizes the outside of that cavity and creates a vacuum. Now, you know all the ships, the pictures of spaceships and stuff, when they show you spaceships and how they be moving like insane directions that you can't do in a normal ship. You could do that if you had a void. You can't move normally, like you can't in the ship. You can't just go up and down like this at high speeds because there's a thing called drag. Because when you're moving in our atmosphere, you're actually moving air. As I'm moving my hand, is why you're moving your hand down. You feel air. I'm displacing atmosphere. I'm displacing air as we're moving around. We have atmosphere all around us. We're just used to it. It's like a fish being in water. Fishes don't perceive that it's water. They just know that this is all around them. It is what it is, and this is how they move and they can function in it. So when you have a vacuum, you're not limited by aerodynamics. So you don't have to have drag. You don't have to have lift. You don't need to have plane wings and all that kind of stuff. Because see, all the parts of a plane are designed to manipulate the atmosphere to generate lift to make it to fly. But if you get rid of the atmosphere, you can just fly. And you can go as fast as you want. You can go any direction you want. You can go underwater, because even when you're going underwater, you're displacing the matter around you and you're creating a void. This is a government contract that they've had, and this is a patent that's been sitting here since 2016. Look at the shape of this ship. Look at the shape of the device. Y'all see that shape?
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting shape. And when they show you the pictures of all the little UFOs and stuff, don't they have a similar shape to that?
Yeah.
They're triangular shape.
Right. It's a more efficient design. And just to even prove that, even in nature, the next time you're outside and you happen to hear geese around you, look up. Do you ever wonder why they always fly in a triangular formation? Because it's energy efficient and its drag coefficient is very, very low. So they can fly further with using less energy. Yah designed them to actually do that.
Absolutely. It's all throughout nature. And that's what brings me into the next little quick bit I'm gonna throw in. I'm gonna talk about this real quick, and then I'm gonna bring some folks on, and we just gonna have a quick discussion on, just on stuff. I want to, hear from the fam and hear from the brews. But I want to show y'all something, man. This dude, Nikola Tesla, as I was looking again, I was getting taught in all this stuff. I was looking at pyramids, again, triangles. There's that shape again. The enemy only can copy what Yah has established. See, in Christianity, they taught us, oh, these things are demonic. No, these things are actually Yah's creation. They've just taken it and they're misusing it. They're taking his creation and using it foully. But the actual creation of a triangle and the actual numbers and everything behind it, that's Yah's wisdom. And they're just manipulating it and they're just trying to use it for their own way because they have nothing else about it.
Right.
So I'm gonna play this video real quick, and I want you guys to. This is a good thing.
Greatest mind of all the time and also a man of mysteries, said that if you knew the magnificence of 3, 6, and 9, you would have a key to the universe. So, what did he mean by this? Had he found some code of the universe? In this video, I will tell you why did Nikola Tesla say this. After watching the video, you will understand how our whole universe is controlled by numbers 3, 6, and 9, and how they are present everywhere in the universe. You will also know how the numbers 3, 6, 9 represent a higher dimensional world while rest of the numbers belong to our three-dimensional world. I will also discuss how number 9 is the controller of all the other numbers and how it can control even space and time. Here, I will provide many mathematical and physical evidences and examples to prove how the number 9 is present everywhere and is the controller of all the other numbers and the universe. Our universe is so mathematical. Almost everything in nature is highly symmetrical and follows geometrical patterns. We can see these patterns in the form of golden ratio and Fibonacci sequence present in many things in the nature. Everything is made up of particles, and if we go deeper at even more microscopic level, we reach into the quantum world, which is pure mathematics. All the living things in this world are made up of cells. Multicellular organisms are formed by the division of a single cell. A single cell divides into two cells, then after division of both the cells, we get four cells. Then 8, 16, 32, 64, and 128 cells are produced. In this way, the doubling sequence continues, and finally, we have a full multicellular organism. Now let's try to understand this sequence mathematically. You can see here is a sequence of doubling of numbers starting from number 1, like 1, 2, 4, 8, and so on. Here the next number is double of the previous number. Now we will convert all of these numbers into a single
Just to give y'all some understanding of what they're doing here, this is like he's putting certain the numbers on a circle. He's mapping the points between the numbers. So you have basically these are all the numbers that you have 1 through 9. Everything else is just combinations of these numbers. So these are all the base numbers that we have out there, and he plotted them out on a circle. So that's just where he got those base numbers 1 through 9 from, and now he's going down and he's going to start doubling the numbers in the sequence.
digit number. For this, we will add the digits of the number until we get a single digit number. This final single digit is called the digital root of the number. So here you can see the digital roots of these numbers. Now observe the digital roots shown in orange color. Can you observe a pattern here? You will see a repeated sequence of numbers 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, 5. Even if you repeat it up to infinity, the same pattern repeats. Now, instead of doubling the numbers, let's halve the numbers repeatedly. This time also we will start with number 1. Add all the digits of the number and get the digital root as shown here.
Y'all understand what was going on? Give me a 1 if you understood what he's doing. I don't want to lose nobody with this. So he's going in, and what he did on the first thing was he took the numbers and he just took the numbers and doubled them. So you got 1, double 1 is 2, double 2 is 4, double 4 is 8, 16, 32, so on all the way down. And then he found the digital root. The digital root is basically when you take the number and you added all the digits up until you get one number left over. So with 16, you add the 1 and the 6, you get 7. With 64, you add the 6 and the 4, you get 10. You add the 1 and the 0, you get 1. 128, you add 1 plus 2 plus 8, you get 11. 1 plus 1 is 2. That is where they get to that same root number. Okay, cool. I want to make sure everybody's following along with it. This junk is
to infinity, the same pattern repeats. Now, instead of doubling the numbers, let's halve the numbers repeatedly. This time also we will start with number 1. Add all the digits of the number and get the digital root as shown here. You will be surprised to see that this time too we get the same numbers repeatedly that we got in case of doubling the numbers.
So if you half these numbers and you find a digital root, you'll get 157842 all over ad nauseum. It's a constant pattern. When you double the numbers, you get 157842. Constant pattern that you get with all the numbers.
So in both the cases of doubling and halving the numbers, we are getting the same numbers 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, and 5. Did you notice one amazing thing here? In both the sequences, numbers 3, 6, and 9 are missing every time. In the diagram, these repeating numbers 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, and 5 are shown in a white color. And the numbers that are missing in the sequence every time, that is 3, 6, and 9.
Real quick, y'all see this? Y'all see this right here? Hold on. Let me see. This is why I tell you. This is why we need to engage our intelligence. We need to start getting into numbers more. I'm about to start getting my number game up. I'm seriously stepping my numbers game up because after learning this, I'm like, these numbers are what Yah has put a lot of secrets in. Yah has hidden stuff, and when you understand the numbers, Yah can give you wisdom according to your understanding. And so the more you have a better understanding of these things, you also can identify the plans of the enemy, and you also can see that the enemy understands these things too. Y'all see that shape? Pay attention to the shape that this is. See this shape? How this is like a little, how this is like almost like a little W almost, and then you got this sucker coming down here. All right, let me show you something real quick. Y'all see that? Y'all see that? Hold on. Let me pull up. Oh man, where is it? Oh, where did it go? No, I'm not. I'm just gonna pull it down. You see that? You see how that shape is? Look at that shape. You got that one coming down, and then you got these sides coming over here. These people know what they're doing. These people know. They understand this. Because see, they this is why they don't teach. This is why education and systems are so weak and so lame, and you have to really like go and learn these things for yourself because they don't want you being intelligent. Because if you are intelligent, then you can start noticing the crap that they do. You see, they know something. You see that there, and then you got the sucker here. I'm gonna continue the video.
9 are shown by yellow color. But what does the absence of numbers 3, 6, and 9 in the sequence mean? Does it point to any secret code of the God or some mystery of the universe? According to some researchers, numbers 1, 2, 4, 8, 7, and 5 represent our three-dimensional world where we
Now take this part with a grain of salt, but also listen to it and just get rid of the nonsense. But there is some validity into what he's saying because there is some validity in all of this because again, it's all mathematics, and we know Yahuwah created all the mathematics.
live in. An absence of numbers 3, 6, and 9 in the sequence means these numbers belong to a higher dimensional world. But what will happen if we double or half the numbers starting from number 3 or 6? Let's double the numbers starting from number 3. On doubling the previous number, we get the next number. Now find the digital roots of the numbers. You will be surprised after seeing the results. We will get only two numbers, 3 and 6, every time. Notice all the numbers that were present in the previous sequence are absent this time, and numbers 3 and 6 were completely absent in the previous sequences. Okay, let's do some more maths. This time, we will halve the numbers repeatedly starting from number 3. Here are the numbers. Now again get the digital roots of the numbers by adding the digits of the number. And here is what we get. Amazing. This time also we get the same numbers 3 and 6. Hence, whether we double or half the numbers, if we start with number 3, we get numbers 3 and 6 only. Even if we double or half the numbers starting from number 6, we will get the same numbers 3 and 6 every time. But surprisingly, even this time, 9 is absent in the sequence. Actually, number 9 controls the numbers 3 and 6. And numbers 1, 2, 4 are controlled by number 3, while numbers 8, 7, and 5 are controlled by number 6. In this way, number 9 controls all the numbers. You will get incredible results when we start doubling and halving the numbers from number 9.
Let me pause that so y'all can see it. Look at here. When he gets the digital roots from 9, doubling from 9, it's always 9.
We are getting only a single number, number 9. What will happen if we halve the numbers repeatedly starting from number 9? What you see? We are getting number 9 every time. No other number is present in the sequence.
Again, that's you're getting number 9. 4 plus 5 is 9. 2 plus 2 is 4 plus 5 is 9. 2 plus 1 is 3 plus 1 is 4 plus 5, 9. 5, 6, 4, all this, 9. Once you break down all these numbers, you're gonna get added numbers. You continue to break it down, you're gonna get 9. Every time you have or double 9, you get 9.
Even on adding the digits in the table of 9, we get number 9 only. So we see whether we double or half the numbers starting from number 9, we always get the number 9 only. It implies that number 9 represents itself. Now let me show you how powerful the number 9 is and how it is present everywhere in the universe. Let's start dividing a circle.
Remember I told y'all about circles. Remember why I had said something about circles and how it was gonna come full circle. Pun intended. How it was gonna come full circle. Remember we were talking about how they had the circles and how everything was going on with CERN and how they have all the shapes and stuff. Watch this.
And see the sum of digits of the resulting angle. As we know that a full circle makes an angle of 360 degrees at its center. If we add the digits of 360, we get number 9. But what will happen if we keep on dividing the circle in half infinitely? The results that you will get will definitely boggle your mind. A semicircle makes an angle of 180 degrees at the center, which again adds up to 9. Now again divide the circle in half and we have an angle of 90 degrees. Find the digital root of the number, it's 9 again. Repeat the same process and we will get 9 as the digital root. Now see what will happen if we keep on dividing the circle in half repeatedly. Unbelievably, you will get number 9 as the digital root every time, even on repeating the same process infinite times.
So if you take a circle and you divide that circle, you get 9 all the time, from 360 to 180. You get the 45 degrees. Remember, even in a I don't know if some of y'all remember this from school, in a triangle, when you have a 90-degree triangle, it's called 30, 60, 90. So if one of the angles is 90 degrees, one of them's going to be 30 and the other one's going to be 60. And then remember I told you the wheel of fortune. See, this is why they have the karmic wheel. This is why all these paganisms and stuff, even in India's flag, has the wheel with the spokes. Very similar to how he broke down the wheel just like that. You'll start seeing this now in everything. Now you're going to start seeing it. You're going to start seeing these shapes and you're going to start seeing it everywhere. They have been putting this stuff in front of our faces. So when they get before y'all, they're going to be like, oh, we didn't lie. We had all the stuff out there, but of course it's a deception because they didn't educate nobody to understand what it is that they're doing. This same symbology, you see it in all these different cultures. All of them ancient cultures, they all understood this. Far beyond Europeans, I'll tell you now. Because they like to say, like they talk about the Fibonacci sequence, which is another set of numbers. I'm going to talk about the golden ratio in the next video that I'm pulling up. That one's going to be awesome. The next one after this. And then, we're going to bring some folks up and wrap up. But this one here is basically giving you the fundamentals of how all these numbers work and how y'all set all these numbers up and how you start seeing them in the world, how they start manipulating them and trying to take y'all's system and manipulating it for their own gain. You'll start seeing this stuff everywhere now. Because after I started watching this, it was like Jim Carrey in that movie, Seven. He started seeing the number everywhere. It's like once you start seeing it and you woke up, you can't unsee it no more. You'll see it everywhere.
But is this true only for a circle, or does it apply to polygons also? Here is a triangle. We know that sum of all the interior angles of a triangle is 180 degrees. On adding the digits of the number, we get 9. In case of a rectangle also, if we add the digits of the sum of all the interior angles of a rectangle, which is 360 degrees, we get number 9. Now we have a pentagon. Sum of all the interior angles of a pentagon is 540 degrees, which also adds up to 9. We get the same digital root 9 on repeating the same process for.
Remember those basalt columns? Remember the shapes of those plants?
Right.
This is the laws that govern the world that we live in. Y'all is so wise, bro. Oh my gosh, I love Yahuwah. He is so wise. These same shapes. Remember how we saw the basalt columns and the plants and all those different things. How these things in nature grow are all based on these same numbers and these same principles. Yah is infinitely wise.
For hexagon, heptagon, and octagon.
Now, what I find interesting, what I find interesting is we're looking at this geometrically. We also look at this in 2 dimensions. How do you expand this on a 3-dimensional fold, like the universe that we live in right now?
Like with frequency, because this also applies to frequencies. See, Nikola Tesla knew something. He said, if you want to know the secret of life, you have to think about it in terms of frequency and oh man, crap? I forget his other saying. Frequency and something else, and vibrations. Yes, thank you, God. Frequency and vibrations. Because remember, everything works off of a frequency as a pulse. Right now, everybody's looking at us over the internet because of the frequencies of electricity. The electricity that goes through, how do you think the computers get zeros and ones? They know it because of the pulse modulation that they do. This is what all the circuitry that you see on the circuit board, that's all it's doing is manipulating the electricity to get it within a certain phase so that it can move in a certain way, and then the equipment will recognize the way that it's moving and say, oh, that's a 0 because it's going down. Okay, that's a 0. Oh, it's coming up. That's a 1. Right. And they even can modulate that and change it in certain ways to even make it more complex in how the system gets it. There's when they use fiber cables for the internet, they have fiber cables they bury in the water. They use a multimode multiplexing technique that basically changes the phase of the light so that it can carry multiple signals. So that way it can carry more data. So it's basically multiple light signals in that one cable, but in different phases. And each phase is carrying different pieces of information. So all of this all ties back into the same thing because you're dealing with the frequency and vibrations. I highly recommend everybody out there start looking up math stuff about vibration, about frequency, and start looking at it and start understanding, even if it starts like from a kid level, start understanding these things. Because the more you start to understand this, because look, how did y'all create the earth? How did y'all create the earth?
He spoke it.
He spoke it. What is your voice?
It's vibrations.
What is your voice? Where do the thoughts in your mind come from? Because see, this is why y'all said that temper your tongue. This is why y'all said to tame your tongue. Because where do our thoughts come from? If a person is a vegetable, their brain is still working. A lot of people say they still were there, they still were functioning. So even though their body wasn't functioning, their mind was still there. They were still functioning and going. Where do your thoughts come from? Do your thoughts come from your brain? Do they originate from your brain, or is your brain a receiver that takes something from the spiritual, translates it into this physical world, and then you use your vocal cords and the means that God has given you? Because every word that I'm speaking right now is energy. Everything that I'm saying is energy. Vibration is literally energy exacting on a medium. When I take water and I slap my hands on it, the energy from my hand gets transferred into the water and it causes the ripples. That's just the results of the energy transferring into the water. When you get into your car and you engage your clutch, that is a transference of energy. Your transmission is just that. It transmits the energy from your engine to your tires. using gears and ratios to transmit that energy in a certain way that allows your car to move forward. This is what you're doing even right now when we're talking. I'm talking into this microphone that's taking the vibrations of my voice and vibrating and is getting converted into electrical signals that are basically mimicking the vibrations of my voice, transmitting over the internet and being transmitted out to your speakers again as energy. Your voice is just sound energy on the vibration, acting on the air. It's vibrating the air. This is why if there's no air, you can't talk because your voice can't fly. Your voice, this is why when you're in a room and you put like a lot of furniture in the room, your voice, the acoustics of the room change because the energy from your voice can't bounce off of all the walls and you hear that echo like you would normally do. When you have that's why you take a booth and you put like the soundproofing in it because you want to keep and contain that vocal energy and you only want the energy of your voice to be taken into the microphone. You don't want all the extra bouncing and stuff like that. You're focusing the vocal energy into your microphone. Because that's all it is. Talking is just exacting energy on the air.
Right, exactly. And saying that's what I mean again, and also just for some for people that who might not understand. Say we also, we're talking right now is physics. We're not talking metaphysics. So some people might, because especially like in the comedic crowd, stuff like that, they'll be talking about radio vibrations. We're not talking about none of that esoteric demonic nonsense. We're talking about physics again, the physics of sound, how these things work, vibration. So like I said, I just want to make put that there to make sure people don't say that we're talking some comedic nonsense.
No, we're not talking like all that new age. Oh, but see again, but this is the thing this is why Christianity avoids that stuff because they think Satan took it. Satan is not an originator. Yahuwah created all this. They're just taking what Yah did and they're perverting it. When Yah created the earth, what did he say? He spoke. He used his voice, the vibrations, the energy from his voice created things. The word, this is why you talk about Yahusha. The word was with him. The word came forth from Yahusha and it exacted energy upon the earth and created what we see. These numbers and all of these things were created from Yahuwah speaking his thing and doing what he did. Everything in this earth is vibrational. Everything is done off of vibration. Even, like I said, even your electricity, all that stuff, hertz. Hertz is a vibration. It's just how often it happens during a second. It's a frequency of vibration. Everything about you is vibrating. There's so much with frequency and there's so much with vibrations that they don't teach you. And these are, again, we're not talking about the esoteric. We're talking about basic physics. With physics, this is why we talked about the EMP earlier and how the EMP could break stuff because that EMP, electromagnetic wave, is carrying energy and it overloads all of the other things because it puts energy into them that blows it up. That wave carries that energy, just like your voice carries that energy. That's why when you speak a thing, Yah says, speak life. He tells you to speak life because we were made in his image. He gave us that creative ability. We're not God. We're not him because we can't just create something that we haven't already seen. We can only create within the confines of this earth. Nobody can create something that hasn't existed in this earth. Everybody creates something off of what they see in this earth. Can't nobody say, I created something that's totally different, doesn't look anything like you've seen on earth because everything that you see is based off of earthly principles.
Correct. And that's what I say. And that's what Fourier analysis is. It's basically using mathematics for wave analysis, because I was studying that and it was using the human voice as the basis. Like, why do, people who sing, when, people with sopranos, when they sing and you look at the vibration or the, wave pattern, that the wavelength is extremely short. Yes. Somebody who's a baritone, the wavelength, basically the length between the two crests of the wave is much longer. And that's the pain. Again, that's the Doppler effect. The same thing. When you hear an ambulance coming towards you and the sound's getting louder and much more shrill, if you're looking at on a sorry, I'm having a brain fart here. But basically, if you look at it and see the waves of it as it's coming towards you, you see that the waves get shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter as it approaching. When it goes away, it gets longer and longer and longer. This is the same thing. Basically, the energy is changing depending on the wavelength. It's a function of that.
Exactly. That's exactly right there too, Charles West. See, it's very important to understand frequency and waves and electromagnetism. Really, everything in this earth is based off of electromagnetism, and they don't really tell everybody this stuff. Like a lot of stuff is based off of the relationship between electricity and magnetism, and it's all dealing with frequencies and vibrations. It's crazy how all of this is all just interacted into the earth. There's a thing called the golden ratio. The golden ratio is they represent it by this ratio called phi, and it's a ratio that you can find all throughout nature. The shells on the on snails, there's the marks on the
Nautilus.
turtle's back, yeah, everything. It's all within everything. And even more to what you were saying about the energy from the voice is how opera singers can crack glass when they sing at a certain high pitch. When you hit a certain frequency,
Yep.
you can disrupt the model. Why is it that an opera singer can
Resonant
sing at a
frequency.
high voice and crack glass? Exactly. Because that glass, although it seems stationary, it's vibrating. And if
Right.
you find that resonant frequency, you can disrupt those bonds that are vibrating at, and it causes it to break down in chaos and the glass breaks.
Correct. Exactly. Exactly. So again, it's amazing how Yah created, all these things again. But like I said, but like you said, unfortunately, because the limits of the of say that, especially the English language not being very precise, you get, when we talk about vibration energy again, it gets put to like, they're talking exoteric, they're talking demonic, say, from the Christian point of view, and it's like, no, 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 no. These things already existed in Yah's creation to begin with. The enemy just knows how to imitate. He can't create.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I just want to show that part. He goes on and he talks about some other stuff, but I wanted to show you the gist of that. To show, because this is why I say we got to get our thoughts changed. Because Christianity would have us think that, we can't read nothing. If it ain't about the Bible, no, it's not the Bible. Everything God want me to know is in the Bible. That's ignorant. Because Yah's like, numbers are a thing. Numbers are mine. The Satan can't steal vibration. Satan can't steal energy. That's mine. The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. It's his. It's all his. He created it. They're just taking. This is why he says all this stuff is demonic. And then I'm gonna even show you why. See, there's a ratio called the golden ratio. Man, this dude right here, I put some respect on this man's name right here. This Gentile brother right here. This dude right here. This we gotta understand that. Although when we were asleep in our captivity, y'all had some Gentiles that he was showing some stuff too. He did show some stuff to some Gentiles. They may not get the revelation quite like we get it, but he showed them some stuff. A lot of things that I researched, a lot of Gentiles have looked into it. They have some very, very good stuff. They come close. They come real close. They just missing a lot of key factors of the word, but they come real close. And for a lot of stuff that they have, they're well researched. I want to show y'all this right here. This is amazing.
Hi, my name is Vincent, and today I want to take a look at the mathematical significance of the number of the beast, 666. Now, just for a little bit of background, although most of you probably already know, the number 666 in Christianity refers to the number of the beast, or as we could call the beast, the Antichrist. So in some sense, this is the unholiest of numbers. Now, to analyze the mathematical significance of this number, I want to consider the divine proportion, also known as the golden ratio. And this number we denote by the Greek letter phi equals 1.618,0339887. In other videos, I do explore this number in greater detail, but just know that it's...
I highly recommend y'all look up the golden ratio. That I don't have time to go into all of it now because we've been running long, but I pray it's been interesting. I really do pray it's been interesting. It's been getting your thoughts to move in a different direction because Christianity has dumbed us down. It's dumbed us down. Even like to what the one person was saying. So you want us to read books outside of the Bible? You absolutely can read books outside of the Bible. What you need to understand though is those books aren't going to give you the answer to salvation. See, salvation is only found in Yah's word. God's word is only. I'm gonna pull this up so y'all know it's real. Salvation is only found in Yah. Hold on, let me put this up here so nobody can go in there and say, salvation is only found in Yah's word. You cannot find salvation in no other text but the word of Yah. You can even take Slave Bible 1.0 with their 66 books and get the fullness of the salvation of mankind in that Bible. Salvation was what Yah created for all humans, whether you're Hebrew or not. Everybody got to come to the foot of the cross to get salvation. Being Hebrew don't mean you saved.
Amen.
You can be Hebrew all day. You can have everything in tassels. You can keep all the laws. You can keep every feast there is. But if you don't accept Yahushua HaMashiach as your savior, if you don't accept Yahushua HaMashiach as one and part of Yah's divine being, as Yah the Father, Yah's Son, and His Holy Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh, that don't mean nothing. So all y'all out there denying Yahusha, you goofy to me. And we not saying nothing crazy out there like that. This is all the workings of Yahuwah. So I'm putting that out there. Yes, you can read other books, but you're not going to get salvation out of there. But it will help you understand how this world works. Because for too long, Christianity just takes everything and makes it spiritual. Like, ooh, it's just spiritual. It just happens. It just happens because, ooh, spiritual. But there's actual science behind this. You can use science, for lack of a better word, so that people can understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This is why I showed those number sequences before, so you can see the wisdom of Yah, even in that, and even how in that look up that was just a small thing of the 369. Look it up. There's even one guy, this math dude. Of course, he's from like Switzerland or Germany or one of them dudes. He was trying to disprove it, to say, oh, it doesn't show that there's any kind of secret design behind it. It's just math and ratios. And he literally tried to disprove it by showing that it was a ratio, and by doing ratios, you get the same thing. And I'm like, bro, if anything, you just made it more awesome. Like, how are you going to disprove it? You just showed that there's a different way to do it. This just all goes down to show that how in the world could an accident create so much cohesion? How in the world can an accident create all of this stuff that goes together? We got to understand the Yah that we're dealing with. The same Yah that created all of this, he got us. That's why I ain't worried about all this Russian stuff. I know what's coming. I'm paying attention. I'm being wise, but I'm not scared, because the Yah I serve created stuff like this that humans can't even fathom the fullness of it. So you mean to tell me this little nonsense they got going on, that ain't nothing to Yah. Yah is supreme over that. Let me get back to this, and this is going to even blow your mind even the most. Let me play this one real quick.
It's a number that pops up all around the universe, and it's one of the most mathematically significant numbers that we have. And its nickname is the divine proportion. So let's see how we could explore this number 666. So using a pocket calculator, you could type the expression sine of 666 degrees plus cosine.
Gotta give it the fact that he thought to do this. This is why I say you gotta put some respect on some of these Gentiles. This is crazy. This is like the thought process that went into this.
Of 6 times 6 times 6 degrees. And you could punch this entire expression right into your calculator, but to see how it simplifies, just so you could follow along easier, the sine of 666 degrees is negative 0.80901699,437. And also the cosine of 6 times 6 times 6 degrees, if we simplify this, this is the cosine of 216 degrees. That's the result of multiplying 6 times 6 times 6. And when we evaluate the cosine of 216 degrees, we should get the same thing. We get negative 0.80901699,437. So now when we add these two numbers together, the result will be negative 1.618,033,9,887. And now this decimal will continue on for a few more places. It may continue on forever, but I'm pretty sure that this decimal terminates. But the point is, the mathematical significance of the number of the beast, now we can see it. When we use basic trigonometry with the number of the beast, notice how the value of this expression here is the additive inverse of the golden ratio. So if we analyze this a little bit closer, this tells us that an expression here that uses the number of the beast results in the additive inverse of the golden ratio. So that's the number of the beast, in some sense, is the inverse of the holiest number that exists in mathematics. So it's just a really interesting relationship that exists when we use the sine and cosine functions.
Bro.
Man, where's dark? Okay, man, where's dark side? Because this is like straight DC anti-life equation.
Yo, I thought about that too. That's so crazy you said that. I seriously thought about dark side in the anti-life equation. Yo, real talk. Yo, we right here. The first thing that came to my mind, the anti-life equation. I said, this Joker 666 is the literal anti-life equation. The golden ratio, when you understand the golden ratio, it's literally Yah's signature on creation. Everything in creation bears some lead back into the divine proportion. It's insane. Like I would highly encourage y'all to look up videos and to research the divine, the golden ratio or the divine proportion. It's crazy. It's a mind blowing fact that literally Yah has left his fingerprint on everything, his signature. Like, yeah, this was me. This was me. This was me. You can't say that this was a random evolution. You can't say that this was some random explosion, some galactic fart that just created all this cohesion and all this stuff. It was done because Yah left his fingerprint on it, and Satan made his number the antithesis of Yah's number.
Brother, let me tell you something. This is why, like I said again, being an amateur astronomer, and looking at these things, that is why Psalm 19 is one of my favorite psalms. The heavens declare the glory of Yah. The sky proclaims the work of his hands. And what do you mean by the sky? He's not talking about the Earth's atmosphere. He's talking about the entire cosmos, the universe. Everything in the universe points back to a creator.
Hallelujah.
The ordinance of the heavens described in Job 38:22. The ordinance of the heavens that he created. Jeremiah, I'm sorry. All these things, everything. I said that's what made me love. Like it's again, when you've been introduced to science in this system, science is basically, it says we want to make you rational, and basically they don't say it's like, and get you away from quote unquote faith superstitions. But what we actually find is that science and faith are twins of the same womb that's conceived in the mind of Yah himself. They are not polar opposites. So you can't just say, well, I like science, therefore I can't be a believer. Or I'm a believer, therefore I have to reject science. No, they work hand in hand. One gives the why, the other gives the how. And that's what makes the difference. Like I said, so when I was when I was studying, studying science and everything, for some people would say like, well, well, I don't believe in God anymore because science has shown this. They say, no, it was the exact opposite for me. I'm like, there is no way that this is a simple random occurrence, a percent, as what was said by, I think it was Kant, a perchance shuffling of matter. And these things, in the modern theoretical physics, say the universe is a result of a quantum fluctuation within a vacuum, and possibly, or the result of a bubble universe. And all these things to try to describe, to say how the universe get here. They're trying to say the universe got here in any other way besides Yah.
Exactly.
It's like wrong. His fingerprint is clip, 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 clip all over this. Oh, look at that galaxy over there. Look at that. Oh, that's a golden ratio because it's by
But the golden ratio is in everything. It's in sound dynamics. It's in vibrations. It's in growth patterns. It's in the way plants are, the way you see plants develop and all the shapes and everything. It's everywhere. And the 666 is literally the inverse of Yah's creation. That's how much he despises Yah, that he does it as a literal inverse of it all. Man.
You got a feedback on your microphone there, bro, I think.
Oh, feedback on me?
Yeah, it's a very high pitched frequency. I'm not sure where it's coming from. Hold on, let me mute myself. Maybe see if it's me. Hold on. No, I still hear it. Yeah, because drowning out your voice a bit.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you, but it just sounds a little bit distant.
It just started popping up.
Yeah, so I'm gonna mute my mic again. Let me see.
Is it sounding better now?
It may be me. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't. Does anybody else hear that noise? Give me a 1 if you do. I don't see it.
Okay, I just did a test. It's me. It's me. I think it's the mic on my thing. So I thought it was me. My apologies.
Oh, okay.
I got to deal with this really high frequency sound. It's like, ow. So I might have to go out and come back in.
Oh, okay. Check what you got your mic plugged into, because a lot of times you get dirty energy.
It's the USB.
Ah, yeah, that's it. You got it plugged into the computer.
Yep.
That's it. Dirty power.
Yeah. So let me go out and come back in, and probably just use my headphones instead.
Okay.
All right, I'll be back.
All right. I dropped the I'm gonna put it back in there again. Y'all still hear that? Y'all still hear the y'all still hear it now? Let me see if you still hear it. You still hear the piercing or whatever? Let me know if you do or not. Paying attention down there. Okay. Okay, it's good. Okay, we're good. You still hear it? Wow, still hear it? What in the world? Maybe it's this. Close that down. All right, you still hearing it now? Y'all still going on? Y'all still hear it? Oh my goodness, what in the world is that coming from? I don't know. Let me see. Let me try something here. Let me try going on. Let me do this real quick. Oops, my bad. Stop my camera. There we go. All right. Let's see if y'all still hearing it. Okay, it's gone now. Aaliyah says it's gone. Okay, so y'all, it's gone now. Okay, that's so weird. It was my mic. It was my camera. It was weird. That's so weird. I had my camera in the whole time, and it just started doing that. That's so interesting. That's so very interesting. Yeah. See, it's another thing. See, all power is waves. And because I had the microphone and stuff, my microphone goes in through my USB, through the USB thing I have here. I have a USB mixer. So the power from my computer that was powering the camera was causing interference in that. And that's why you were hearing that screech. So that just goes to show how everything is just related to each other and how all that stuff goes together. So okay, cool. That's how that was. That's all right. Y'all just won't see my pretty face. but yeah, that right there, that sequence. Oh man, can I bring that open? No, it's all right. I don't have to open it again. It's all good. It's all good. Actually, I think I can. Yeah, there we go. Cool. I'll open that back up again and have that there. So yeah, basically, you know what I'm saying? With everything, yeah, everything's all connected, Dre Lee. Everything is all connected. Especially, you know, when you have your computers and all that stuff, everything is connected. Like, especially when you start doing audio equipment and hooking all that stuff in there, you got to be real careful with that kind of stuff because you get issues and stuff popping up. More than likely, it's probably because my one hard drive kicked in and it's spinning in there now, and it might be causing that interference that y'all hearing. But I put the link in there, you know, for y'all come up. If anybody wanted to come up, just, you know, share something real quick. Let me put it back in there again. I put it back in there. Yeah, there he goes. Yeah, it turns out it was my microphone. It was my camera. Let me see if I plug my camera back in. Let me see if it comes back. Let me see here.
Yeah, because I heard when I unplugged my camera, it stopped.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, and that thing was making me dizzy too. The frequency, I'm like, I wish I could have recorded. I was like,
did it come back? Do you still hear it now?
No, it's gone. Like I said, I'm on my air shocks now. I'm just on my headphones. Okay. So you'll see the camera now.
Because people were still hearing it even when you left. Because it was my camera too. My camera was doing the same also, which is weird.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's so weird. I thought that was really, really weird. I thought that was weird. But yeah, I'll, you know, drop that in there if y'all want to jump in. Again, you know, that's why I have my camera on. You know, if you come up, gotta show your camera. You gotta have some decorum. You know what I'm saying? We don't keep talking crazy, and we gotta, you know, try to keep it a little short. You know what I'm saying? Let some people speak some talk or whatever. Some people, you know, want to come up and just share what they got. I know it's been long. I know it's been, you know, I tried to give us, you know, I try to bring. It's hard to bring all that stuff together. You know what I'm saying? It's so hard to try to, like, you know, combine all that into a learnable thing because it's a lot. You know, I mean, it's I can understand how, especially when you start getting the numbers and stuff. You know, I wasn't a big math person in school, but now I'm actually finding a love for math. I'm like, man, I should have took more math in class, man. Math is awesome.
Right, and see, and exactly, because unfortunately, like I said, I was the same way, still learning, a bit here and there, because unfortunately, especially as Israelites, we're we're kind of not encouraged necessarily to be part of learning these things. We're always taught to be like, hey, you can go into the social sciences, or political science, which is nothing wrong with those things. But I said that's where my heart has been, like I said, for learning astrophysics, learning astronomy, things that physics, things that we are normally pushed away from. You saw a lot of especially like a lot of white kids who had the telescopes, stuff like that. They were studying on that. They were putting basketballs in our hands.
Exactly.
Exactly. Or put the mic in our hands, man. Say, be great on the mic, and be that. But when it comes to analyzing the universe that we live in, that Yah created, it's like, no, don't worry about the other stuff like that. Or again, say when you start getting too close, talking about the math here. Again, he said, you're starting the esoteric stuff. You're starting to, you're trying to get into some stuff. It's like, no, you're not following the Lord. It's like, no. Yah made His creation. He would not have said those things in the scriptures or even described these things in the scriptures if He did not want us to know them. Why? Because He said, first of all, He's not going to share His glory with nobody else. So if He wants to know these things, He has a reason.
That's right. That's right. And we were all learned. Even when you read in the book of Daniel, it said the book of Daniel that Daniel and his, all his Hebrew homies, they were all well versed. They were 10 times better than the Babylonian wise men. They were way more versed in what they had going on. And a lot of times they don't, especially because the way America presents the Hebrew culture to us, they don't present it like they had a scientific background. But when you read Leviticus, you see Yah was giving medical knowledge to the Levites.
Thank
the
you.
Levites not only served as just priests, but they served as the doctors and the scientists of that realm.
Yes, sir. When I read that, I was just like, because again, they said, like I said, the ancients really didn't know. I mean, like I said, now they would credit the Kemet too, or the sons of Ham, the Egyptians, would say, oh yeah, now some European scholars won't, but a lot of the black scholars would say, like, yes, was Egypt advanced in technology? In scientific understanding, you better believe it. Why do you think their pyramids sit, standing there right now? Imhotep and all of them. I'm saying, yeah, these are the sons of Ham.
Come on, man.
Why is it? Do you think that somehow the sons of Shem were like derp? No.
Exactly. And then even a more modern translation that people don't, put two and two together. When you study Nikola Tesla, you notice that he was heavy into Egypt. He went to Egypt all the time, and he would adopt a lot of these different philosophies from what he learned from Egypt. What is Nikola Tesla known for? Energy, electricity, power. So why was he this dude that's so interested in electricity and power that taught all this different stuff that eventually, when got shut down by J.P. Morgan and Chase, he had a tower that was designed to pull energy because our entire realm is magnetic. It's a giant magnet. Earth is that's why your compass works. Your compass can point towards true north. There's a giant magnetic field. And he learned how to manipulate that magnetic field to share power wirelessly. It's a thing that you can do. It can be done even now. When you have your wireless chargers for your phone, that's a small version of what he was doing. It's just more or less efficient because he found a better and more efficient way to do it. And they're like, nah, we finna have this dude giving out free power. Because if all you had to do was just hook a device up to your house, why would I pay, Tico? Why am I paying Tampa Electric or Duke Energy or whoever to give me, what I need when I can just go hook up something on my house and get it myself? Even when you get solar power, they still make you hook into the grid, even though you get your power from the sun.
Right, and all that. Like I said, it's amazing the fact that we can get charged for things on. It's a red element called water.
Yeah.
That most of the planet is made of, and the things are created. It boggles the mind. It boggles the mind. I say again, the technology and stuff that they had, that he had back then, all that. It's like it's mind-boggling. We could have had advanced technology over 100 years ago, but because of the greed of human beings, and I'm going to say it, especially with European, capitalist culture, that stopped us from advancing in a lot of different ways. I'm like, because there was a story of him having a car that all he did was it was like these 3 rods. He pushed them in. He did that. You didn't hear a sound. Say, okay, now we have power.
Mm-hmm. I remember that. Yeah.
We could have been rolling strong then, technologically. But again, It's that spiritual understanding to say again, we don't know what the kingdom is gonna be like. You know, we have no. Like I said, to me, I don't know if we're gonna be technology or not because you know why again why would the creator of the universe have to have technology where he can give us abilities that are just beyond our mind. I mean, Yeshua walked through the doors that were closed.
Come on, bro. Come on, bro. He walked through a whole crowd. He tiptoed through a whole crowd. That don't
Fade.
sound like quantum tunneling. I don't know what it is.
Mm,
Quantum tunneling, for those who don't know, is when you can have certain particles literally tunnel through solid matter. They'll appear on one side of it, and then it's like throwing a baseball. This is a common physics thing they say. Quantum tunneling is I throw a baseball at the window, and instead of breaking the window, it appears on the outside of the window and keeps flying.
correct. And that's exactly how transistors work. The computers that we use right now is based upon quantum tunneling.
Sure,
The chips.
exactly,
Mhm.
exactly, absolutely. And we use this stuff all the time, and we don't even have an understanding of how all this stuff works and how it all comes together, man. They always want to discredit the ancients. And when I talked about earlier about reading books, this is what I meant. Like, if you want to understand the nature of things, read old books and read how they talk about things. Books that go before they started changing things and started doing stuff. You'll even find it, even some of the old like Greek and stuff books, they put stuff in there about history that's interesting. Now, I'm not, again, I saw somebody put that in there. Oh, we got to be careful. Yes, you have to always be careful. Again, we're not talking about reading these books for spiritual understanding. We're talking about understanding history and understanding physics in the world that we're in. You can understand genetics, physics, and the world that we're in by reading things in history about the people that talked about them from the past, because they had a very high level understanding of all these things. That's why, again, Tesla went to Egypt and he did all this amazing stuff after he came back from Egypt. And then you go into Egypt and you look at the Great Pyramids, and they're like, oh, yeah, they're coffins. They don't look, none of the other pyramids that had coffins in them. And the big boxes that they have in them actually are boxes that you can use for electricity. All this, the materials of the stuff, the pyramids themselves were giant electromagnetic batteries. So it's like, come on, man. What's good, my brother Kyle? How you doing?
What's good? What's good? Can you hear me? Am I going good?
Yeah, you hear you.
Yeah. I was just listening, and I was just like, one of the things that I was just thinking about was how people are going to be blindsided to all of this, like the knowledge that y'all are having. And then, I'm sorry, before I say all that, shalom to everybody. How y'all doing? I'm sorry, that was rude. But
Shalom,
to
shalom,
everybody,
brother.
shalom to everybody in the chat. Because they some brilliant people out there in the chat too. But one of the things that I was saying is like how people are going to be blindsided, because I was just coming back from church, and they're talking about the Lord's Prayer. I was like, you got all this stuff going on, and you're talking about the Lord's Prayer. And I remember I was telling you about the pastor that I was talking to him about the Apocrypha and like what the stuff that's going on in the that's written in the Apocrypha, and he was like, "Oh, that's not canon." And I'm like, "But they got so much knowledge and so much stuff um, that's telling you about the state of the world today in those books." And I was like, "Is my thing is like whose authority? Like we got so much that we're missing now, and that's gonna blindside a lot of people." Coming up, because they're not talking about these things. They're not talking about the mathematics that you're talking about, the golden ratios, and all of the other stuff that's was discussed here. And it's just so much valuable information. And I do appreciate, everything that has been talked about. And just now I got to go study.
That's the goal, bro. That's the goal.
Yeah.
It's like, get thoughts provoking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Get our, because we've been Hellenized heavy. It's like, me and Brother Aerosmith was just talking about, like, the system is European. It is what it is. It's not nobody being racist. It ain't, they teach you that history started with Rome, which is a lie. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it's all Eurocentric, stuff. And they always like, oh, that's just mythology. That's not real. Even they taught the Bible, they would just glossed over David and Goliath with giants, and they just glossed over Nephilim and glossed over Elijah outrunning a chariot. Like, they always make it this spooky spiritual, thing. Oh, Jesus was able to do that because Jesus was God in the flesh, and he just did it because it's just spirit. That's what happens. Like, No, he tapped into the principles of this world and quantum tunneled his whole body through that crowd and walked away, or got carried away. Straight up did a what you call it, like a translation from one side of town to the next. You know what I'm saying? Caught up in different places. Like, this was commonly done with lots of different people in the Bible. Like, this is all not just some magical thing that he just went to Hogwarts and waved a little wand and was like, here you go. Like, no, he was using his actual workings, the actual workings of this world. That's how Yahusha was able to walk on water, because he was there in the beginning when the water was created. So he understood the principles of it, and walking in the Holy Ghost, the Ruach HaKodesh, he was able to then walk in the fullness and take authority over those things and walk in it the way he did it. So they always say, oh, he took authority over it. What does that mean, though? He took authority over what? He took authority over the cells. He took authority over the nature, and he reformed it to make it do what he wanted to do. When you understand it on a deeper level like that, it starts making you see things from a whole different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know one of the things is, how are we, like, as a people, going to say, hey, we got power. We have the power. You have the power to command anything, but we don't know nothing about it. And that's something that I'm trying to get into. I'm trying to learn more about demons. I'm trying to learn more about like spirits and stuff like that, because if I don't know about it, how do I know what to say? How do I know what to do? That's like, just like earlier when he was talking about the numbers and stuff, I was lost. I was like, man, look, I don't know nothing about this. You have to break this completely down. And then when you started breaking down everything, I was like, okay, then I could start having a baseline of learning. I was like, you can't get anywhere if you don't know anything about something. And it's like, they're just not teaching this. How can you command, 10,000 with two people, and then one could bring 1,000 a flight and two could bring 10,000? How can you do that if I don't know anything about my enemy, anything about my adversary? I can't fight you if I don't know what you got. I could have sticks and you could have nuclear weapons, and I'm like, well, I'm about to go handle some business and get blown up.
That's how this is how they've controlled not only us, but all the nations all this time. Because the technology that we have is the trash technology. Honestly, petrol, oil, that's trash. The engines that we have in our cars is trash. It's trash. There's far more efficient. There was Henry Ford made the Model T. He made it out of hemp, out of pure hemp. He made the body out of hemp. He made the engine run on hemp oil, and it was far more efficient than all the other engines and stuff that was out there. Not too long after that, that's when weed and hemp and all that became a drug, and no, we can't have that. Anything that comes up as that we could use that would free us from their system of control, they outlaw it, and they vehemently attack it. This is why they say, Henry Ford became anti-Semitic because he wrote a book called On the Jews and Their Lies. Well, he wrote that because he was dealing with these people who were making laws that make his business illegal. So he was mad because he's like, yo, this is good. This is a good alternative, and y'all won't let me do this because you want to control everything. He recognized that. And this is what they always do, and they still do it even now. You got college kids that, right? There was a dude, I worked at McDonald's when I was 14. And this kid came in and collected the fry oil. And I was like, yo, why is this kid coming in and getting the old fry oil? They said he had an engine that he designed that ran on fry oil. He was running his car off fry oil, off of an engine that he designed. Like, it's when we start looking into the history of our world, and you start looking into, like, really digging into the history of all the things that happen and that are occurring, you'll start seeing, you'll start seeing that things are a lot more different than you really realize what they are. And things are a lot more controlled and curated. We don't get the good technology that's out right now. There's so much more stuff that's far more efficient than a lot of the things that we use and deal with now. And they know this, but they can't. Because see, look at how they can control everything with the oil now. Look at how, with the oil and all the stuff going on, how they can just literally, by just adjusting the price of oil, you can topple the entire economy. You couldn't do that if everybody had cars that was powered by hemp, or if somebody had a car powered by an electronic battery, or you got a car that was literally pulling energy from the air, which you can do. There's a gentleman in Africa who made a TV that's powered up. The same premise is powered off of the electromagnetic wave. They call it radio waves on the news, but it was actually electromagnetic waves. It runs and is powered off of the electromagnetic waves of the air. And he found a way to tap into it and give power. And then he said
it's induction. Yep.
Yeah, induction. Exactly. And he's already got attempt. He said he's had threats against his life.
Oh yeah, you can't. Like I said, anything that. All right, 'cause again, like I said, technology is hampered by the powers that be who have an economic interest in keeping some things down away. Because again, if anything that takes away from that, it's not about the money itself; it's the power that so-called money brings.
Mm-hmm.
When you take that, when you spend something that hits that money, but basically hits their power, you got a target on your back. It's that fast. You have something that again. Imagine having a solar powered car, and if we had superconducting wires,
Mm-hmm.
gas will go away because there will be no loss with the wires at all.
Correct.
There will be no it's lost as heat. So solar powered car, superconducting to room temperature wires, boom. That's the end of oil. That is the
Correct.
absolute end of oil right there.
Yep.
But somebody come up with that, they're able to get onto the net and disappear quick.
Oh, absolutely. I highly recommend everybody looking up a video called Electric River. Was it Electric River or is it Magnetic River? Aerospace. I think it's Magnetic River.
I haven't seen that.
Oh, dude, you gotta check it out.
Okay.
It's magnetic, and it's on YouTube. It's an old. They call them of course, they always call Europeans whenever they present something the father of something. But this dude presented electromagnetism to the current generations, and he did it in a way that's so amazing, and it's like really easy to understand, and it really starts jogging your mind about how electromagnetism is not used in the way that it could. I mean, you got dudes on all over YouTube building stuff in their garage that's amazing, like ridiculousness. They levitated a frog with magnets.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, hold on, y'all.
Run that back.
Yeah.
Did I hear you say, or was there like some wax in my ears? It's running on what again?
Check this out. So this is they're doing supercooling because currently they can only get superconductors you can only get a superconductor by supercooling it. So you have to cool certain conductive materials to an absolute zero, even below that. So all the electrons in it will sit still. So with all the atoms in it are sitting still, the electrons can freely pass through that material unhindered. So essentially, on a superconducting material, you can have a charge float around in it forever at that same energy and everything. It just keeps going.
Okay, I did miss you because I do remember this video when it first came out. It blew my mind.
Yeah. This is just crazy. So this is what they're doing with that liquid nitrogen. They're setting up. It's called diamagnetic.
Yep.
Diamagnetic means both of the magnets are an opposing power to the heat in the middle. So it's like the magnet on if you're in this part of the magnet, you're going to come down here, and then from this part, I'm going to come up here. The forces meet here. That's what they call it. It's
buffering.
Yeah. In general, your screen is just black. Like the whole before too, it was just black for my end. I don't know what I did wrong.
Y'all see now?
Yeah, I can see arrow spikes.
Okay.
But I can't
I see everybody. Okay, it's coming back now. Okay, go. Yeah, man.
Well, the time is really interesting. Anyway.
Yeah, I know, right? I had so many issues today. Look at that. So they're floating that frog between two magnets. They also got that's a grasshopper. They're floating him now.
And he's wondering what in the world.
Exactly.
Why is this happening to me?
Right. Now y'all see that? That's two magnets that he's floating between. That is now a grasshopper floating between two magnets, and before they had a frog floating between the two magnets. So, and that's a flower.
Now scale that bad boy up. What you get? Propulsion.
Exactly. Shoot, you get doggone you get people floating. You can start having people, flying around and floating with that. When you got, the right type of materials, that opens up the whole thing. Because, they usually teach us that only magnetism only affects, metals and all those type of things with magnetic properties. Now you're telling me magnets can affect physical bodies? So now that begs to differ. when you talk about all this stuff about 5G and whatnot, that's why I told people 5G is not the cause of that virus and whatnot. But my concern is that's a high electromagnetic spectrum. What are the effects that will have on the body? Because you see, magnetism affects physical matter. I mean, what you call it? Genetic matter. Organic matter. So
also, Practice, while you're on that, talking to them about electrogravics, stuff that I showed you.
Yeah, exactly. This is it's using magnetism, JI style. It's basically magnets. It's essentially magnets. It's a magnet going through a high power magnet. They use a what's called a superconductor, and that superconductor allows electricity to flow through it unhindered. So you can get a high charge, and it creates a very strong magnetic field, and you can do all kinds of stuff, man. Like look up magnetic lock on the internet. Look that up. Like you'll just see all kinds of cool stuff. Even again, dudes in their garage making all kinds of just cool stuff, just using stuff that they got from a hardware store. Yeah, man. There's a lot going on in the earth that they don't tell us about. There's a lot that y'all, even in the Bible, again, Daniel and them were very present in knowledge. In what was it? I think it was Jubilees. I think it was Jubilees. It talks about how when the devils were the demons, because when all the Nephilim died, their spirits became devil spirits, and they started coming against and deceiving the mankind. So Yah was like, all right, he sent the angels down, and he had them take out half of them, and he left the rest for Satan. He was like, all right, I'm gonna leave these pieces on the table. You can have them. I'm taking these rest of them off. And then he went to Noah, and he had the angels give Noah information. He wrote down books, and he wrote down herbs on what he can do to fight those demons. And we even see the application of that in Tobit. In Tobit, when he was going to go meet his cousin to get married, he met an angel unawares. The angel was disguised as a human, and they caught a fish. And when he caught that fish, he told him to keep the gall, and he told him to keep some other parts of the fish too. And when he gets to meet his wife was under a curse. The demon was with her, and it was an evil spirit that afflicted her. That every man that had relations with her on their marriage night died. So he came to do that, and then the angel told him, he said, hey, do this with the fish guts and do this and put this together. And when you get in there in the room, burn this and do this, and then you'll break that demon. And he went in there and he did all that, and boom, the demon was gone. Then he took the gall from the home, went home to his father, put the gall in his eyes, and he was able to open up the eyes of his father to make him see. So there's some science behind all of this stuff. There's a science to fighting demons. There is a science to all that, even with how they work. It's just that we don't understand it because they've redacted the Bible so much. They've taken the Bible was way more than. Don't you think it's convenient that they left 66 books? We just saw the significance of numbers. You think that? Come on, that's 66. Come on, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Let's put two and two together. It's more than 66. It's a lot more than that. And even the book of Jasher is mentioned in Samuel, and it's mentioned in Joshua. He mentions it. So they push a lot. There's some books you got, like I said, you got to be careful. Study what it is and look into it. It's a constant struggle over here in Babylon. But I do believe that when Yah restores us, he gonna make that Vatican give up all our books, because we know what the Inquisition was all about. It was about them running around stealing people's history.
I'll always say. I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother.
No, I was just gonna say. I was just thinking that. Just think how advanced we would be if we had all that information, even like all of the knowledge with the numbers and stuff. Like how much more advanced and how much better the environment would be instead of all this pesticides and poisons and stuff like that that's going on. That's
right.
Wow.
Right. I'll always say, like I said, we're reading, especially any book. I will always say, I was caution this with anyone, say, make sure to say you are seeking the Most High, you're seeking Yeshua, Mazurak Kodesh, say, Yah revealed to me if what I'm reading is it so, and He will do exactly that to say if this is true or if it's not true.
Correct. And we definitely gotta be led by the Holy Ghost. This is why I always tell people when they say, "Oh, what book should I read?" I'm like, study the Bible first. Get versed in Yah first. Learn the Word. Because see, when you know the Word, everything that I look at goes through the filter of the Word. And if I look at something and it don't match the filter of the Word, it gets tossed out. I know it's trash. I know that it's garbage. I know that it's a lie from the devil, and I know that it ain't real. So when you go through, and it's good to read these other different books, but you have to always not let them be the thing that dictate your worldview. Let the Word and Yahuwah dictate your worldview. This is how you rightly divide things and how you use wisdom. How we say, eat the meat, spit out the bones, or as my mom used to say, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. Because there's some good information that's out there, but you got to glean through that nonsense. So I always recommend for people that's newer in the word, study the word first. Get versed in the word. Get versed in it. Learn it. You know what I'm saying? Get to a point where, you know, you got a good grasp on the word, and, you know, you let the Ruach lead you, and then Yah will lead you on his own, man. He just, that's what he do. Like, most of the time when I come across stuff, it's just something that'll pop into my mind, and I'm like, huh. And then I go investigate it, and then my mind gets blown.
Yeah, exactly. Again, just whatever, you know, whatever we're reading, you know, whatever we're reading, you know, because the word tells us, you know, you know, Yah himself is the source of all wisdom and knowledge. So it always behooves you to, you know, to check with him, no matter what we're reading, what the materials we're reading, to check with him and say, Yah, is this so? To check that out and let him, you know, be led by Spirit, like you said, to the word first and foremost above all.
Yes, exactly. Because honestly, the Bible, and as you start even expanding on that, Yah really puts clues for everything in there. It's all in there. It's just you have to. It's just like what they say. It's the joy of Yahuwah to hide a thing, and it's the glory of kings to search it out. You got to just get in there and search that thing out. Like, a lot of times, it's not going to be rare, but Yah gives it to us according to our understanding. Enoch said that Yah gave me and showed me things according to my understanding. So the more you increase your understanding, the more Yah can show you. This is why I showed the math thing, because when you start looking into math and you start looking into the numbers, then you start seeing things at a different level. You start seeing things differently. So it's a good thing to increase your intelligence. You know, get out there and learn some stuff. You know what I mean? Me and Brother Aerospike was already talking about, you know, getting math books and getting our math game up and stuff like that, like learning different things, because the more you learn about how this world functions, the more Yah can reveal to you and even debunk a lot of the lies that they put into the system. What's good, Rose?
Shalom, family. Yeah, man. Like, all this, everything that you've been talking about, man, I've been dying to talk about for a grip, man, because, like, I took electronics back in high school, so that's why I put in a lot of the manipulation of light. You know what I'm saying? About, you know, computers, TVs, all of that. The whole, whether it be binary, hexadecimal, octadecimal, computer code, all of that is just a manipulation of light. What is electricity? Electricity is light. What is a spark? A spark is light. No matter what it is, it's a manipulation of light and where it goes and how to use it, how to control it, how to use it, how to manipulate it to make things turn on and turn off. It's just that simple. It really is not as hard as people think. They just let things go over their head. And so what I'm gonna say right now is, unfortunately, a lot of our people have a spirit of limitation upon them. And you got to rebuke that spirit of limitation flat out. Do not let no spirit convince you that you cannot learn what it is that you do not know. Do not let no spirit convince you that you cannot learn more than what you know right now. Allow it to be delivered to you by the Ruach HaKodesh, because there is such a thing as false information. There is false knowledge, just like false prophets come in. And like so we were just talking about last night, about, as matter of fact, shout out to Davion Murphy, because he brought up in our talk last night, we was talking quickly about Martin Luther King. He said, so he brought up the scripture of Jeremiah 25 and 23, I believe it was. He said, was that talking about Dr. King, about these prophets that come out talking about they have a dream, all these dreams and this, that, and the third, and you know, so look that scripture up, man. Shout out to Davion Murphy. Salute. I definitely appreciate that last night. So, but now I saw you was getting ready to get into the Mandelbrot system and all that stuff, those numbers and things. That right there also helps reveal creation. You know what I'm saying? The wisdom of the Most High God, the mathematics that it takes in order to carefully put things in its proper place. So that way you have flowers, you have trees, you have animals, everything is math. It's all everything is math. You know what I'm saying, family? So like just like what we're getting ready to get into about these calendar conversations on Red Letter Rap and things like that, getting back into Enoch, talking about the calendar and stuff. All praise to the Most High Yah for leading me to the treaties of Shem. This is in the book of pseudepigrapha, all right, which I also call stolen Torah. When you get into the book of called the treaties of Shem, now once again, we give no reverence, we give no praise to no celestial body, no stars, no moon, no sun. We give no reverence to them. They are a part of the clock that is in the firmament. It is just that simple. So when you get into the treaties of Shem, you start finding out that there are constellations in the clock that when the year begins, if there's a certain constellation that is at the head of the year, certain things are going to happen in that year. You know, this is prophecy that comes out, and it has to do with the clock. It has to do with the math. It has to do with how the Most High designed things to happen mathematically, and how prophecies unfold due to this math, due to these proportions of things, how the Most High designed it. So if you don't have a pseudepigrapher, I would say go out and get it. Look into that right there, because it'll also show you that there are certain nations, certain powers that be. I got not say nations. I'll just keep it as nations that are going to rise and fall, wars and battles, famines and pestilences that are going to happen throughout certain years, depending on what constellation is at the beginning of the year. And it has to do with the math. I'm telling you, it's deep.
No, it's facts. I was literally just reading in Jubilees about how every 50 years they have a Jubilee. Actually, they talk about that even in Leviticus, about every 50 years y'all had a Jubilee year. And the angels clipped time based off of the Jubilees. So they were telling things to Moses. They were like, yeah, in the year of this Jubilee, this happened. In the year of this Jubilee, this happened. And they did it all in the different parts. Oh, I lost them. They did it all in the different parts like that. So that's what Brother Rose just said was actually absolutely accurate, because there are times in the seasons, and what y'all said, that's what y'all said in the beginning. Let them be for times and for seasons. And
Correct.
he taught us how to interpret those times and seasons. See, even the enemy knows those things too. That's why you see all this nonsense when they be talking about, I call it star voodoo, where that, you know, Pisces and all that foolishness that they be putting out there. They take what y'all did and they pervert it with nonsense. And it's like, no, but it's based on some truth that y'all has, because there are progressions. The whole, when you look at the sky and how the stars and the equinoxes and everything is set up, they progress. They go in a circle like a star. It's a
That is correct.
It's a clock.
Right.
That's all. That's it. It's all. I'm sorry. Go ahead, bro.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. All right.
No, I was saying, that's exactly what it's called. Say, we call it the zodiac, but that's what it's called. Like I say, we talking about for times and for seasons. Different, like I said, different constellations appear in the sky. Like right now, for instance, time of the winter season, the most prominent one is going to be Orion. Right there, and, Orion, the one that's called Gemini. Those are basically winter constellations. So if you look in terms of planting and harvesting, that is exactly what those things are for. The equinoxes, like I say again, we talked about, even like it was even more recent for me, where everybody would say, "Oh, Happy New Year" on January 1st when it's cold and nothing is growing and things are still asleep within the earth. But now the vernal equinox is basically when the sun crosses what's called, I say again, my mind is laying out. It's basically the sun goes from south to north. It does it every year. It goes across the celestial. It's called the celestial circle. Right ascension 0. That's what's called the vernal equinox. That's what we just had on the 21st. It's called vernal, and then in September it'll be called the autumnal equinox, when it's headed back towards the south. Again, this is a giant clock.
Yep.
So we know when to do things.
And so that's the other part of the calendar question stuff that we're going to get into, because I encourage everybody out there. I've been telling them on Red Letter Rap, if you want to really understand the calendar and understand the clock, go into Enoch chapter 72 through 78. Read it slowly. All right. I've already made the chart wrote it down. It's all through chapter 72. It tells you what gates the sun comes in from the first month through the 12th month. Right now, we are still in the 12th month. And within the 12th month, that's when the equinox or equilux happens, is in the 12th month. That is not New Year. I'm sorry to tell y'all folks out there that have been trying to say Happy New Year all early and everything. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, but it's in the scriptures. The Most High God tells the truth all the way from the beginning to the end. We must submit to the truth. It is just that simple. I love you, family. If you don't like what I'm saying, I still love your family. That's not going to hurt my feelings. I'm a big bro. I can handle it. So outside of that, now, what I was just telling y'all about the treaties of Shem, out of all the books in the pseudepigrapha so far, out of volume 1 and 2, I haven't went through all of them. This book right here, the treaties of Shem, has an 8-page foreword. 8-page foreword. That means it's going to come to you and it's going to tell you about the text, the original language, the date it was found, the provenance, that that it was found in. It's going to talk to you about the historical importance, the theological importance. It's going to go into the relation to canonical books. All this extra history, all this extra forward stuff before you can even get into the actual scriptures. Now, real quick, when this right here is what blew people's mind when they found this book, when they found these scriptures. This is in the historical importance section. A few decades ago, historians had no clear evidence that Jews composed astrological tracts at the time of Jesus. Many good scholars thought this interest surfaced only late in medieval Jewish mysticism. Even quite recently, the erudite and informed editors of the Encyclopedia Judaica reported that the zodiac is first mentioned in the Sefer Yezerah, a document dated somewhere between the 3rd and 6th centuries. And it's talking about the Encyclopedia Judaica, volume 16, column 1191. So basically what this is getting at, family, is they had no idea that the real Jews were so versed in the astrological signs, in the clock, in the firmament, knowing about these zodiacs and what is to come, what's going to happen. They had no idea that they kept their eyes on the clock because they didn't know that the clock existed, because they had no knowledge, no wisdom of it. So once you get into chapter 1, this is just, I'm only going to read just a little bits and pieces of chapter 1. I'm not going to take up your show, Ak. I'm not going to do that.
No, you good. No, go ahead, bro. You good.
So chapter 1, this is just a little surface right here. If the year begins in Aries, all right, the year will be lean. Even its 4-footed animals will die, and many clouds will neither be visible nor appear, and grain will not reach the necessary height, but its rye will reach good height and will ripen. And the Nile River will overflow at a good rate, and the king of the Romans will not remain in one place. And the stars of heaven will be dispersed as sparks of fire, and the moon will be eclipsed, and the first grain will die, but the last grain will be harvested. And from Passover until the new year, produce will have a blight, and the year will be bad, for a great war and misery will occur on all the earth, and especially in the land of Egypt. And many ships will be wrecked when the sea billows, and oil will be valued in Africa. But wheat will be reduced in value in Damascus and Haran. But in Palestine, it will be valued. And in that region, there will be various diseases and sicknesses. Even fighting will occur, but it will not be allowed to escape from it and be delivered. So that's just chapter 1, talking about if the year starts with this constellation at the head of it, at the beginning of the year in the clock, in the firmament, And once again, we give no reverence to these things. We
Mhm.
only pay attention to the
Mhm.
signs of the
Mhm.
times. They are
Mhm.
merely just numbers on the clock.
That's
They may
right.
have shapes. They may have a little picture. They may look cute to little children. But you know what? They are just numbers on the clock. It really is that simple.
Correct.
They're just numbers with a shape. So, when depending on which of these constellations is in a certain position at the beginning of the year, certain things are going to happen throughout the year in certain places due to that sign of the time.
Hmm. That makes sense because even in the natural sense, even in the pagan sense, they always talk about how different years have different meanings and stuff. So people, they don't. This is Yah. The stars are Yah's creation. The angels
Mm-hmm.
just came down and perverted what Yah already had established in the sky. Like he had all his information established there, and the Earth goes through cycles. They try to call it climate change and all this other nonsense, but there's cycles. After so many years, the cycles change. This is why our winters are weird now. Even in California, that's why they're having all that the drought, because usually the winters are longer and they have a lot of snow built up in the mountains, and they take that snow runoff and use it for water. But this winters are shorter now, so there's not as much snow. So now they're having droughts because they're pulling out all that stuff and they're basically straining the land out of water. So that makes sense even from what you would say scientific point, because there's cycles in the earth and there's different cycles that go on. And y'all already, he be telling we're his kingdom of priests. He be letting us know what be going on and what happens. So this is why our people knew when certain things was going down. Okay, this is the time for this to be. This is the time for us to chill. This is the time for us to do all these things. I mean, the Bible shows in every somebody mentioned it in the chat about Daniel and Meshach and all them, how they were well versed in all that wisdom and learning. Yah was able to reveal those dreams to Daniel because he had an understanding of the clocks of the time and all that stuff, and he could take an interpretation with that understanding and deliver that. So Yah delivers according to our understanding. They had a lot of wisdom. Our ancestors had a lot of wisdom. They knew some stuff. If you read Bel and the Dragon, Daniel blew up a whole dragon, making pitch and feeding it as balls to the dragon. It was a real live dragon. Like that whole story is fascinating. But it just goes to show you that our ancestors, our people, Hebrew melanated people, they had science, they had an understanding and a technology, and we lost that when we lost our kingdom. I know some of the books was hidden. This is why they found the apocryphal books up in the caves hidden with all the other books and stuff. They found them all together. They had Ethiopia, who got books because Ethiopia was never colonized, so they still had the Book of Enoch still there written. This is where Lawrence got it from when he translated it, because they still had the book there. There's still these books still exist. We know all these books are out there. There's a book called the Wars of Yahuwah. It's mentioned in the Bible. The books of the Wars of Yahuwah. Where's that? Where's that at? There's we got fragments of the Book of the Giants, and you can see all that stuff again lining up with when you read Enoch and then you read the Book of the Giants. All that stuff start lining up. You start seeing things and you start making connections and patterns. See, they don't want us doing that. This is why I call the King James Slave Bible 1.0, because every time Europeans get a hold of our text, they take, they redact everything. It's like when you do a FOIA request here in America. FOIA is Freedom of Information Act. You do a FOIA request, you'll get the information, but they don't redact it half the stuff on there, so it's not even good. That's good stuff, man. Y'all, my brother Rose got a channel at Red Letter Rap. We gotta definitely check that out later on. I'm interested in seeing that. That sounds mad interesting. But yeah, man, this has been a blessing, man. Y'all brothers got anything else y'all want to bring forward? We've been going at this it's been interesting, man. We've been going at it for 3 hours.
This has been good, man. Appreciate. Like I say again, I'm a big proponent of us, our people, getting into the different sciences and so forth and learning of it. But coming at it from a Yah-centered point of view when it comes to, like I said, me being in astronomy, I'm looking at it again from a Yah-centered point of view.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. What's up, brother Kai? Got some closing things you want to talk about?
I was just looking at all the information that y'all was just giving, and I'm just up here just typing in, trying to do some research and stuff like that.
And own it.
Make sure I get everything I can. And Brother Rose channel, I'm trying to look up his channel right now. You said Red Letter
Rap.
All right, got
Yeah,
you.
yeah. Got the Bible with a
Most
microphone
definitely
on it.
gonna subscribe to that. But
Yeah, yeah.
it's just I just love the information. I love being around one Israelites, being around Hebrews, just being around my fellow family, and just the information that y'all say is just it empowers you to just keep going and just keep reading and researching and keep learning and studying. You know, keep getting closer to Yah, because that's honestly that's the most important thing. And just learning about the world and learning about everything that's going on, it's like you can't be fooled at that point. Like no matter what happens, no matter what the world tries to bring about, it's just like, oh well, you know, I already, you know, I already got this. I already got this information. I'm here. Like I'm with
Mhm.
you, and nothing can come against you, literally, because you know, and you have Yah, you have the knowledge, and you have Yah by your side. So you know, there's nothing to come against you. But thanks, you know, thanks for allowing me to be on and be, you know, here to talk with the fam.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Brother Rose, you want to close with anything, man? What was the name of the, bring the name of that book and stuff up again too for the
All
folks
right.
that could drop a you know the name of it in there. But we also gonna check out your channel too later on when you're
Oh
doing
yeah.
it.
Oh yeah. Treaties of Shem.
Okay.
Treaties of Shem. Now, when we started doing reading the book of Isaiah from the Peshitta, all right, this is when the Most High really started prodding me to get into this calendar conversation, because me and a couple other brothers behind the scenes have been talking about this calendar conversation for over a year. So if you go back to the book of Isaiah, whether you read it from the KJV, the Peshitta, ESV, or whatever, chapter 1 of Isaiah starts talking about how the Most High was fed up with our new moons and Shabbats and feast days and sacrifices. There's a lot of different things right there just in chapter 1 alone that tells you that we were doing things wrong, and we was doing things by the will of the other nations. We was being like the other nations. We took on their calendar and their ways and started doing things wrong. So that right there is what really started putting foot to my tail about, yo, we really got to talk about this calendar. We really got to talk about it. It has to come from behind the scenes on out. So that's what inspired like some of me and some of the other brothers that have been talking behind the scenes. I was like, look, I got to start bringing these things out. And shout out to bro Straight Like That, because me and him was talking about something. He's the one that hit me with this one channel talking about how the beginning of the month even starts. And I was already looking in Enoch 72 through 78. So when you get into chapter 73 of Enoch from the Sefer, it talks in like verse 5. It says, when the moon becomes appeared to you, the first bit of light that touches the moon, that is the beginning of the month. No matter what day of the week it so-called falls on, that is the beginning of the month, the first little bit of light that touches the moon.
The new
And
moon.
yeah, the new moon starts the beginning of the month. So that's day 1. And then 6 days later is the Shabbat, no matter what day of the week it falls on. So Shabbat is not every Saturday. I'm sorry, family. This is something we got to go back to the scriptures, and we gotta come to grips with. Shabbat is not every Saturday. We got to come out of this Gregorian system, this Gregorian calendar, Sunday through Saturday. No, we got to come back to Yah's calendar. We
Correct.
got to we are going to be held accountable, family. We got to look up and use that clock. That's what he gave it to us for. So go back to Genesis 1 and 14 through 16 and remember what he said he put them up there for signs, seasons, times, days, months, years, Shabbats, all that. That is the clock that we're supposed to go by, not man-made Gregorian calendar. So we got to come back. We got to talk about these things. We must submit to the Most High God's word. Now, I'm not bashing nobody. I'm just saying, eventually, it's going to have. You're going to come right back around to it. It's going to come full circle, just like you said, Brother Red. Nope. And for me, no pun intended. But you know what I'm saying, like, and all these things are tied in. And so one of the charts in which I shared last night about this calendar conversation has to do with the phases of the moon, 14 phases of the moon, also has the gates in which the sun goes in and out of. There's 6 gates on the east, 6 gates on the west. Gate number 1 and gate number 6, it has a double usage for their months in which they're designed for and they're ordered for. All of this is in chapter 72 of Enoch. All of this is in chapter 72. Then the moon's ordinance is in chapter 73. In chapter 74, you find that there's a special ordinance for the moon on the 8th day. All right, that it's going to change. It's going to take a shortcut or a longer route. It could be a shortcut or a longer route depending on the month, and it's going to come through a different gate so it can reline up because it is slower than the sun. There's going to also in Jubilees, you find out that the moon appears 10 days earlier sometimes. And if we give too much reverence to that, it's going to throw our days, weeks, months, Shabbats, Jubilees all off. So we have to pay attention to these things. All of this, man. All praise to the Most High Yah for what he's bringing out, man. I love him so much. Y'all have no idea. Y'all have no idea. We all are repentant sinners, but I'm telling you what, man, I didn't have as much growing up and grooming in the church to have, scriptural knowledge like a lot of other people in the chat. And I love y'all for it. And I appreciate y'all for helping me out on my own channel for scripture that I don't know. And y'all are helping me out. But as a repentant sinner, someone that was blind and didn't want to hear the word, I didn't want to see the word because I didn't want to be corrected by it. You're listening to a repentant sinner that is now under so much obedience and submission that, man, only the Most High Yah can do this. Only by his power and by his will can he take someone like me and someone like you and remove that spirit of limitation and say, you know what, I can learn this. I can know this and I can be obedient to this. All praise to the Most High Yah.
Bro, when you said that spirit of limitation, I suffered from that same thing too. Because I would just be like, when I was younger, I would be interested in stuff, but I'd be like, oh, that's not for me. That's other people's stuff. Or, oh, maybe I'm not for that or whatever. So I would psych myself out of stuff without even trying because, I would just figure, oh, no, that's white people stuff. That ain't for us. Oh, we ain't, there's some stuff I would still get into. I wouldn't go that deep because of that, like you said, that limitation. But when I started really, I think when I started getting into quantum physics, it interested me. So I just said, bump it, I'm going to read it. And I just started reading about it. I started understanding it. And I'm like, huh. And the more I read about it, the more I watched videos, the more it all made sense. And I'm like, bro, if I could understand quantum physics, I could understand anything. And that's how I look at it. That's how I look at it. I tell people all the time, I'm not special. We all can do this. It's that not all of us up here, we're not just special, called out with special brains. Every person can do this. The Hebrews were the most learned people out there. We are going and we getting back into that. Take some time. Sometimes get off Instagram and study some math stuff. Sometimes get off of Facebook and read you some stuff about that's going to educate your brain, even if it's scripture or educate your mind about the functioning of this world. Learn something, enlarge your mind, because see, Yah can only deal with you according to your understanding. Why do you think that he always talked to our ancestors in terms of farming and all the different things? Like the whole wheat and the tares thing, I didn't understand it because I'm not a farmer until I saw this thing actually on Facebook where it showed that when wheat is at full maturity and it's ready to be sown, it bows. The wheat of a heavy makes it bow down. Tares, they stick straight up. So when you have a field with wheat and tares, you know the wheat because the wheat is bowed down and the tares are standing straight up. Is that not an analogy for pride and arrogance and how the whole thing is an analogy? The wheat is going to bow to the will of Yah, and the tares is going to stand in their foolishness. And we see that going on now. You got people out here talking about, America, the promised land, Mormon 2 books, Yahusha ain't got all kinds of foolishness and just nonsense, man. They want to take everything away from Yah, and we're like, no, we the tares. We bowing down, realizing that, this is the workings of Yah. We need recognizing that what we have right now is not sufficient enough to understand Yah. So we're bowing down and acknowledging that, we need wisdom. We need to learn more. Pastor Kelly put up up a thing with Cat Williams, and he was talking about how there ain't 24 hours in a day. He said, really, it's 8 hours in a day, and then you got the other hours at night. He said, but they tell you 24 hours a day, so you don't mind working all your daylight hours, because 8 hours a day sounds bad. It doesn't sound bad when you have 24 hours. But I know my wife, she goes to work when it's dark and comes back when it's dark. I know I be working till it's dark, and then I stop working when it's dark. My whole day gets consumed with work, and that's not how it's meant to be. But we made that okay with our mind because they've warped our sense of time to think that 24 hours is a day. No, there's 8 hours in a day cycle. Then it becomes the night cycle. You know, you got 12 hours rather. I'm sorry, 12 hours in a day cycle, then 12 hours in a night cycle. It's a cycle like that. But when you giving 8 hours of your daytime hours to these jobs, you only got 2 hours of daylight, and then you gotta go to sleep. This is why we all messed up.
That wheat and tares, man, and wheat bows because it has fruit to bear.
That's right.
Boom.
That's right.
The maturity and submission, the obedience. Now it has fruit to bear. That's why it bows.
That's right.
Think
That's why he spoke to them like that.
Right. You think a tear stand straight up. Hey, that's a good target for an angel that's doing some reaping, right?
Mm-hmm.
Good target. Hey, protect your neck. You know what I'm saying?
You have to go right past your head, hit that tear.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I'm down. Well, hey, I bow down willingly.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna catch that sickle. You know what I'm saying? I ain't trying to get cut off.
Catch this blade.
Man, exactly. God always spoke according to understanding, according to the understanding of the people. He didn't tell, Daniel about cars and all that kind of stuff, but Daniel saw that knowledge was going to increase. Even Enoch saw it. If you read Enoch in the beginning, he says that I'm writing these books not for this present generation, but for generations to come. He already had the revelation that Yah has me chronicling this for people like us. Because we are in the worst time of humanity. We are in the worst time. Humans right now are a far cry from what our ancestors used to be. The way we live, bro, it's just like my brother Aerospike said. We got to pay for water, bro. Water. The basic stuff that Yah has given us for free, they make us pay for. This is why I don't take like Cash App and none of that stuff like that, because I'm like, Yah will supply our needs. Even when he taught us, even when you look in Leviticus and how he taught things, when he had the land is supposed to be tilled for 7 years, and even the land gets a Shabbat. So when the land has a Shabbat, he gave them rules for how they conducted business because he knew the nature of humans. Oh, you can't pick at your land for a year. Oh, you probably gonna start price gouging on stuff. Oh, pomegranates, you may get a little low on pomegranates or whatever. So I'm price gouge because I know over here they ain't tilling their land, and I got extra pomegranates. So I'm like, no, y'all said nah, don't do that. And y'all said plus, I'm gonna make it so that the year before the Sabbath is gonna have so much you're gonna be eating off the fruit from 2 years ago, and you ain't even gonna be able to get to the new growth.
Right.
That land rest.
Yeah, that land rest. This is why the food we eat now is dead, because we ripped off, and it's a scientific fact to it. You got to let the land replenish the nutrients. My mom talked about this years ago. She said that the food that we eat is dead. She said it's dead food. And she talked about Leviticus and the land laws. She said we're supposed to be letting the land rest. This before she even, I believe she knew, but she just didn't know how to tell nobody. Because a lot of stuff that I think back to my mom said, I'm like, man, she lining up with the law. She was lining up with the law because she said that we need the land doesn't get the chance to rest like he said in Leviticus, so the food is dead. This is why we got all the nonsense that we got in our bodies. And I mean, everything is connected, bro. Everything is connected. I envision y'all having us like a high society that works in we work in harmony with nature. This is how it's meant to be. We're to be caretakers of this earth. We are to treat it the proper, because the earth is a living entity. It's alive. Again, we don't worship it. We don't, do all the stuff that the pagans do, but the earth is alive. This is why Yah says it has a womb. The earth will give up her dead. He gives it a personification, just like he gave wisdom a personification. Like, we got to understand there's a lot more to Yah than that small Christian box trying to put us in. Yah is so much bigger than that small Christianized view that they've given us, man. They don't want us getting back into that because look at us here. Mm-hmm. What's the chance? All us, all different walk. We all from different parts of the country. Everybody in the chat, all us here, all connected on the same thing. What's the chances of that?
Right.
Y'all's good, man. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate y'all coming on, man. I appreciate everybody in the chat, man. We've been going for a minute. I'm gonna wrap it up with there. You gonna be on the night, Brother Rose, or when you gonna do that that study? I'm gonna check
Well,
that out.
man, I'm still putting everything together. I'm trying
Okay.
to make the actual chart of everything. So there's a couple pictures that I got from Google and such that I'm doctoring on down because I don't agree with some of the days. The phases are right, but some of the days are off on this one. But then the other one has an accurate chart. So
Okay.
I'm putting that all together, PDFing it together and all that good stuff. So that way, and I'm putting it on Google Drive. So that way, anybody that wants it, all you gotta do is like just show up, man. I put the Google Drive link or hit me up on Instagram because on the Red Letter Wrapped on Instagram, every book that we go through, and I share the Google Drive link. It's the first comment on that post. So if you don't have access to Babylon the Timbuktu, any of the books of the Apocrypha, anything that we've read, just go through Red Letter Wrapped on Instagram and you got access to it. You can download it and have the PDF, man, because I PDF everything.
Perfect. And 78 man, yeah, I'm not against it because I give to other folks and stuff like that. Just me personally, it's my personal thing because I grew up in the church, and when I grew up in the church, it was always a business thing. That's why my mom, we was non-denominational because she was like, I don't feel like that's the Bible. She said that's not God. You know what I'm saying? She's like, you should definitely, you want to run your church decent and in order or your assembly, but you don't treat it like a business. You don't do it like that. Not the European sense of a business. You know what I mean? We got to rethink even our way we do business because we got to understand the way we think about business and work is wrong and messed up because of how they got things set up. But it's just my personal conviction because I've seen so many people take from us, especially. I've sat in churches where they literally held people hostage and sat there and said, God wants somebody to give $100, and sat there and looked at everybody and did not move the service until somebody got up and gave $100. Hold people hostage for nonsense like that, just gross stuff for people that just seeking after Yah. And I'm like, the knowledge of Yah is free. It's free. It's out there. You just got to dig and get it. You just got now. Somebody wrote a book. I'm all about paying for that book because you pay for that time and stuff like that. It's about putting that thing in. But that's just my personal conviction. I'm not against anybody else taking anything. I'm not saying that. Oh, if you do it, I'm not saying none of that because a workman is worth their due, and you should definitely give it to the ministries of those that labor. Because trust me, it's a labor, man. We all got jobs. We got to go to Egypt and do our regular gigs. You know what I'm saying? That's why my uploads be kind of like sporadic, especially around this time of year because this is the busy season for IT. So like just this week, I'm going to come up and be jumping on this state project. You know what I'm saying? So I'm probably going to be out of sorts for like 2 weeks for that because I'm going to be doing that. And then I got to travel and do all the nonsense for that stuff right there. So, this land is not conducive to the way Yah has created things. So, but we getting back to that, man. We getting back into that point. And this is like what Brother Rose said. Like, it's either learn it now or learn it later. Because, when we get to the land, we're not going to be doing stuff the same way we do things here. The same way we think about things here. Ain't gonna be no 18 years old. You send your child off and just send them away. What kind of foolishness is that?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You turn 18 and you just send your child off to college. That's foolish. They're still young and impressionable. And you sending them to a den alliance. No. Don't do that. No, man, we gotta be wise. We gotta understand that we've been Hellenized in all our ways. Sometimes I just sit around and I think about the stuff that I do, and I'm like, why do I do that? Why do I do this? Just do that to yourself sometimes. Just question why you do some of the things that you do. Why am I doing this? Why do I look at this way? Why am I thinking about this the way I think about it? And when you really start thinking about it and breaking it and being honest, you got to be honest. That's the thing. You can't give it no excuses. You got to be honest. And when you be 100% honest, man, there was this video game that I came across. I decided yesterday I'm going to chill. So I said, I chill with wifey, and then I jumped up on this game I had found. And I'm playing it. I'm like, yo, this game is dope. You know what I'm saying? It reminds me of old school Legend of Zelda. And I'm just looking at it. It's a cute little fox doing all this little stuff. Nothing, on the surface don't seem like nothing crazy. But as I'm looking at it, he got the shield. He got a cross on the shield. I'm like, that's that Templar influence. That, I know he got that from Zelda, but Zelda got it from the Templars where they had the cross on their shield. Then I see if you want to level up your stats, you got to take certain items and you put them on an altar. And then it burns up and then increase your stats. So I'm like, so you got to make sacrifices? But you won't see that because it's a cute little animal. It's a cute little thing. And it's like, oh, look at it. It's just cute. No. Man, look, man. Babylon is twisted, bro. Babylon is twisted. Even when you start looking at the sanctity of Yah's genetics, I even venture to say, and I'm not going to throw this out there, but I'm just throwing this out there to put it on your thought process. I even venture to say, even anthropomorphic animals acting like humans is an affront to him. How we have our cartoons with Bugs Bunny and all that stuff. Why you got animals acting like humans and doing human things and coming at it, like a human? That's not how they was designed. Not saying you can't just have stuff for fun, but the way this world system is set up and how they doing things is like a normalization. Look at how, I showed y'all about the furries, the people that like that kind of stuff and all that kind of, what I'm saying? It's like when you really start, look, it's just a cartoon, it's benign, but when you start seeing things that's going on today, because I'm quite sure years ago, if you would have told people that people was going to be dressing up in animal suits and having sexual relations, they're going to be like, oh, what are you talking about? You crazy. That's insane. That's what they doing. Like I see it at my son's school. There's this girl that comes to school with elf ears every day. She comes to school in elf ears.
Wilding.
Yeah, exactly. Now imagine if they had this, they got CRISPR. Imagine they get CRISPR and they release it so you can start changing your DNA however you want. Do you think that little girl would not try and go get her ears permanently done like that?
Man, don't you know that they just a couple years away from doing that? Look, man, you already know that the devil has to get permission. All right, it just comes down to who's going to fall for it. So every year, all of our lives, I'm 42, don't know how old everybody else is, but all I've been able to tell is mathematically every so many years, they go like this. All these elitists, they do a little temperature check to see how the masses are ready and willing to go for the next step into foolishness. Are they ready for the next step, the next brick into the paved road to hell? All right, straight out, and that's facts. Like so that they're not too far off from going ahead and bringing it on out and saying, okay, you ready to go to hell? You ready to go to hell? You ready to go to hell? And so they're just gonna keep throwing these bricks out, these temperature checks out to see who's ready to take that wide road to hell. You know what I'm saying?
Musk just was talking about. He was saying with CRISPR, we can turn people into rabbits and butterflies. He just said it casually off the cuff, but it's like you said, it's that plant in their mind. Nah, it's always done like that, man. I really appreciate y'all brothers coming up, man. I really appreciate the fam today. You know what I'm saying?
Man, I appreciate the message you brought today, man. Man, you covered everything. Man.
I had to hit the before one other thing I wanted to show y'all. Remember, before we go, there's one other thing I wanted to show you. Remember that we were talking about the number 9, right? This is a item from Japan. It's called a magatama. It's a sacred item that they have. Y'all check that out.
Oh, the half yin yang thing.
Yeah. It's called a magatama. Yep, exactly. They got them all over the place. This is used heavily in the Shinto religion. They even found ancient versions of them from back in the day. This is like one of the ancient Paleo-Japanese stuff. They found these artifacts, the same thing, a magatama, which is shaped like a number 9, or like you said, half of a yin yang.
Right. So when you watching Dragon Ball again and say, look at that sensu beam, that's what you got right there.
Come on, man. It's man. Bro, don't even. The next one I'm gonna do, I'll be here for another 3 hours, bro. The next one I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hurt because I'm an anime fan and they hurt my feelings, and I can't look at stuff the same way either. Again, like I said, y'all stripping us of all this nonsense, but I'm gonna tell y'all just look up Journey to the West. Just find like a little overview of that story, and then if you're an anime fan, that story will become very familiar. Like Journey to the West is in like the basis that almost all anime now is based off of. They use the same story structure. They use even similar character tropes, all of that. And the other thing is too, they have in Buddhism these deities called lords of wisdom or gods of wisdom or whatever. And all of those lords of wisdom, the designs, they have spiky hair and they have energy fire emanating off of them. Does that sound? Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. I know. Hold on. We were just talking about this earlier. I know that sounds familiar to a lot of our friends, a lot of our folks out here. A lot of that sounds familiar when you got spiky hair and energy emanating off of you.
Yep.
9,000.
Come on, man. And then you look up the Wisdom Kings. That's what they're called, Wisdom Kings. They're called Wisdom Kings. And when you look up Wisdom Kings, put kings so I can show all of them. And I mean, a matter of fact, I'm gonna use the Google because I like the images I get from Google. You can already see it. You already see it. These are Wisdom Kings.
Yeah, off to the right, that big old
Yeah, spiky hair. They got the hair spiked up and they got energy around. Even when you see those halos, that's how Catholicism. All this stuff is all, man, bro. I
Yeah.
can sit here and break down this whole image. All of this stuff is all images. It's all lead back to Sumerian. They all lead back to Enoch and all them same fallen angels. You got him sitting on the cow. The cow stands for the bull of heaven. What's outside of the New York Stock Exchange?
Right.
When Moses went up on the mountain, what was they worshiping?
Molech.
The Apis bull.
That bull, exactly. Isis, that same thing. Isis's symbol was the bull. Man, there's so much stuff, and this is tied into even the stuff that we call our entertainment. Again, I like anime. You know what I'm saying? That's my thing. But I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it different. I look at everything different. Like, even things that I enjoy. I'm like, I've been kind of like chilling on a lot of stuff, man. Even my favorite, One Piece. My favorite. That's my favorite anime of all, man. One Oda is noetic when it comes to writing, but man, the latest thing that he just did, that's what made me research it, because they started talking about how research this Japanese dude, and he was, see, they understand it because that's their language and they learned it, and he talked about wisdom kings, and I'm like, what's a wisdom king? Then I looked this up, and I'm like, oh,
Wow. Wisdom King. That sounds like almost like Toriko too.
Man, all of them, bro. When I tell you, all of them have that same look, the energy coming, the fire that's coming around them, spiky hair. It's all the same thing. The energy, they have multiple hands, energy coming off of them, spiky hair. There's that circle again, the fire, they're showing the emanating that he's sitting on the book, bro. I mean, this is all the same stuff. There go all the wisdom kings right there. Again, fire surrounding them, the energy in their hair, like all this stuff is all related, bro. It's all related. But I ain't gonna get into that because that's a whole nother.
That's just all kinds of historical and predictive programming. Like,
yeah, it's syncretism, man. It's syncretism all day.
That's the word.
This is the same stuff that they had going on at the Tower of Babel. This is why I say, I got into it with some brews about the Book of Jasher. They're like, oh, it's demonic, and I repent using it. And I'm like, bro, it's not though. It's not, because I was literally able to find the remnants of Jasher and Mount Kailash, and there's a video on my channel that talk about that. And then even in there, it was something that's my brother TCA. Shout out my man TCA, man. My man be putting in work. My man TCA had a video that talked about that same thing too. But he also pointed out the fact that when y'all put judgment, when you read the account of
the monkey people.
Yes, exactly. They became
the monkey people, elephant people.
They became monkeys and elephants. And hold on, what's this dude? Oh, Hanuman. Oh, he's a monkey.
Yeah.
Then you got Ganesh. Hold on. Ganesh. Let's look who Ganesh is. Who is Ganesh? Who's that guy? Oh, wait. He's an elephant.
Right.
I've actually seen one of those. I have a friend who is Asian Indian. He was pretty much born here. He was born there but raised here since he was like 6. But his wife is from there. I went to the house 3 years back, and when I met them, my first met her. Went to the house and I saw there was an actual. He's an agnostic, but she worships Ganesh. I saw the idol in the house. Like, wow, okay.
It's a cultural thing, because even the person that owns a business I'm in, he's an Indian person, and his father is more into the he's more Americanized, but his father is like homegrown. And when we went into a new building, he had a little altar set up, and he had his little everything, all that crap set up. I went and I looked, and I was like, oh, okay. Like, I already knew what it was. When you go into the Chinese restaurants and they got that little cat that's sitting up there with the little head up, that's a lucky cat. You always see that at businesses, even in Japan. It's to bring good luck. Like, man, come on, bro. We just used to this stuff because we were born in this system, but we got to realize we surrounded by fallen angels and deities and people they culture to worship these things. They grew up in it. Oh,
it's a multilingual refurbish of the Tower of Babel. Think about it. So, all right, when you go back to the Tower of Babel, when the Most High says he's going to confuse all the languages, right? How many languages came out originally? There were 70 languages, once again. And so when you go back even to Joseph coming up to Pharaoh, when he was in prison In order to come up to the level to even talk to Pharaoh, he had to master the 70 languages because there were 70 steps. So the 70 languages that came from Babel. Now, so everything that happened in Babylon, Babel, at the Tower of Babel, when all the languages got confused, they all retold the same stories just in a whole new language. So that's why
Absolutely.
it's a refurbish of Babel in a whole different, in a different language all around the world.
Absolutely.
Whatever these false gods, all these fallen angels, everything, all they did is they just changed the name because it's a different language. That's it. That's all.
Yep.
Other than that, it's the same story.
It's
You
the
know what I'm
same thing.
saying?
They just change the look to match their regional look, and they'll change the because it's kind of like playing telephone. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Because even them, even the people in Japan and the people in India, some of them don't even understand why they do what they do. They just still be out there and they just do it and they do it. I use India a lot because they're the one that they have a lot of their old ways intact. The Europeans couldn't take all their stuff away. I believe that's kind of why they sat over there with the East India Trading Company with the Dutch, and they sat there so they can kind of control all the dissemination of information that came out of there. Because India's history is pretty much untouched by the Europeans, and they're reclaiming their history and they're tapping into it. And when I look into their history, it leads all back to Babel, and it leads all back to the Tower of Babel, and back to the Sumerians, and back to Nimrod, all back to that same mystery religion. It's all that same stuff that they have going on. Like they even now they have their Shiva lingams and stuff, and they take them and they pour milk on them and all that kind of stuff. And they do it because that's what they do, is a sacrifice onto the deity. Well, not only is the Shiva lingam shaped like a sex organ, the male sex organ and the female sex organ, and pouring milk on it is that sexual connotation,
Right.
but it's also shaped like a nuclear reactor. I was reading this Indian scholar who was talking about it, and he was talking about how they were, even in how they explain Shiva and all that, they were explaining atoms and all that. Except we say neutron and proton, they would say Shiva and Sakti, and they used it like that. And the pouring of water on there was actually significant of when you have the nuclear reactors, which are shaped like Shiva lingams, and oddly enough, they pour water on it. What do you use to cool a nuclear reactor? Water.
Right.
They
Right.
had this stuff, man. They had the understanding. The original understanding of what it was has been lost over the years because that knowledge is being withheld from them. They don't understand the original meanings, but it's coming back now, which is why they're finna do this great reset that they're finna do, because the knowledge is increasing and they can't control the narrative no more. So they finna just flip the table and just start all over on their terms.
Right. They just call the those elements by the name of the spirit.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. That's what made what the angels did so perverse, because they took the workings of Yahuwah and they flipped it around and put it in their own name instead of honoring the name of Yah. That's why it was so perverse.
Right, Jubilees and Enoch both. Well, mainly Jubilees lets us know, but I remember some parts in Enoch to let us know that everything has a spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is a spirit. There's a
Mm-hmm.
spirit for the grass, there's a spirit for the leaves and the trees, there's a spirit for the wind, there's a spirit for water, spirit for cold, spirit for hoarfrost, spirit for fire, spirit for warmth. The
Mm-hmm.
spirit for fire and the spirit for warmth have different names. So it's like one feeds off the other, one comes from the other. There's so many spirits all the way around us. All they do is just go ahead and call the spirit by its name. It's
Correct.
just, yeah, it's all of that, man. But they go too far into it though, man. They start worshiping all that stuff, man. Like, no, they just go way too far. You're going too far, Biggs. You know.
No, it's true. And that's what another thing Enoch tells you too is Yah also would punish those spirits if they didn't do what he said to do. Because when Enoch
Right.
was translated in the spirit, he was shown the prisons of the angels, the various prisons that they had. And in one of them, he said he saw creatures as big as mountains, and they were burning, like giant burning mountains. Remember, I showed you those Wisdom Kings a few minutes ago, how they were
Hmm.
giant and burning. How whenever they have a anime, what happens when they power up? They start emanating light. Like this is all coming back to the same thing. And he saw those creatures, and he said they were being raked over coals, and he was like, "Yo, what's going on here? What happened?" And the angel told him, he said, "Hey, they didn't keep. They were stars that were supposed to keep their appointed times, and they didn't keep the time, and they offended Yahuwah, and he punished them."
Mm.
Man, it's so much, man. We can keep going.
John
What's up,
P.
brother John?
Yehuda.
What's good, brother? We was just about to wrap up, man. What's good, brother? Oh, you got stuck? You stuck? You frozen?
Might be.
You frozen. That's cool. We're finna wind
All
down
right.
anyway.
You got Shalom, family. Appreciate you letting me on and everything, man. Yeah. All praise to the Most High Yahweh.
All praise to
I'm
y'all,
out.
man.
Shalom.
All right, brother. Yeah, man. It's a blessing, y'all. It's a true blessing to just see the working of Yah and his wisdom and his knowledge and whatnot, man. And it's amazing, y'all. And I'm just gonna wrap it up on that. I know I can keep going. There's so much stuff. It's like my man said, there's so much knowledge. There's so much knowledge, man. It's so much stuff that's in this world. But just know that everything that's happening right now, being prepared, just know that it's to your good. This is for your good. This is happening after those 400 years. Just like the brother was just talking about the new year. What happened? What month did the lockdowns occur? It occurred around spring, right? Around March? Yeah, around that new year for y'all. Okay. All right. So I appreciate y'all, man. I appreciate y'all coming through, man. And y'all be blessed. I'll see y'all next time. Y'all will go.